Green Bay Packers. If the Vikings win their final 3 games, the title is theirs. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim Brant. These are two teams very much alive for the number 1. Minnesota still trying to get that number 1 spot in the NFC Central. They win their final 3 games. The title is theirs. Atlanta still very much in the hunt for number 1. A dubious and yet significant honor. That's the number 1 draft pick. They are still very much alive for that. It goes to the team with the worst record. And yet Jim Hanifan comes in as the interim head coach. He's got this young team fired up and playing very loosely. And as we turn to Dan Jiggetts, our analyst today, Dan, I'm going to ask you about the Minnesota Vikings. What has to happen for them to win this title?
Well, everybody said one of the things they have to do is get the running game going. Now, Herschel Walker is not going to start for the Vikings today. He's got a dislocated toe, tried to come out and work out a couple of minutes ago, and he's just having a lot of problems running. Now, they've got another problem on defense. Keith Millard, their all-pro defensive tackle, he's got a sore AC joint in his shoulder. He may not be able to go very long today. But it really gets back to something that Jerry Burns said to us on Saturday. He said, look, our big guns have to go out and play well for us now. Now they have to come up to the top and really shine. The problem is some of those big guns are injured.
I'm going to throw a curveball to you. You look at Minnesota, it's a team that traditionally has struggled in the month of December. You look at Atlanta, it's a team you would think, well, they don't have anything left to play for except pack their bags and take the rest of the vacation, the rest of the year off. Can Atlanta win this game, and what would motivate them?
Well, the motivation always is to play for the pride that you have in your ability to be a football player. Now, Jim Hanifan, their head coach, turned to them the other day and said, hey, look, our coaching staff is not going to be here next year. We're gone. We're out of here. So now the pressure is on you players to perform like you want to be here next year, because if you don't, you may not.
All right, Dan, Atlanta is 0-9 on the year on the road dating back to last year. The Vikings have won 11 in a row at home dating back to last year. But how about this statistic? 6 of the last 7 games between these two have been decided by a touchdown or less. Greg Davis will be kicking off for the Falcons. DJ Dozier, number 42, is deep for the Vikings, standing at his own 2, and he is the man who will replace Herschel Walker in the starting lineup this afternoon. We're just about set. Davis gets the whistle, and he'll approach the ball. High kick. Dozier at the 5. It's a good block. There's a flag down. Dozier returns it to the 27-yard line, so it's a 22-yard return, and the tackle was made by Gary Wilkins. We'll wait to see what the flag was. It's going to be holding against Minnesota.
During the run back, number 85 of the receivers, half the distance to the goal, 1st and 10.
Novoselsky, the tight end, is the man who was guilty. Red Cashin is our referee. There's your quarterback today. That's Wade Wilson, and the numbers for 1989. 6 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, got off to a slow start. Said he was trying to force things too much early on. Offensively now, the offensive line has been questioned out here in Minnesota. Zimmerman, McDaniel, Loudermilk, Kalis, Irwin. The tight end is Steve Jordan. I say questioned only because the offense and the scheme has been questioned. Dozier for Herschel Walker, Finney, Carter, and Jones, the wideouts. And you see Gustafson and Lewis come in obvious passing downs. First down, Minnesota. This is Finney. Gets 1, maybe 2. Good fill by the right side of that defense. The tackle was made by Deion Sanders. Let's set that defense for you. It's Gann, Tony Casillas in the middle, and Ben Thomas, the right end. The linebackers, Bruce, Brady, Jesse Tuggle, the leading tackler, and he has been active, having a marvelous season, and Tim Green, the headbutt specialist. Butler, Sanders, Gordon, and Moore in the defensive secondary. Scott Case, all-pro last year, suffering with a groin, comes in along with Dimmer and nickel situations. 2nd down and 7. The ball at the 12. Wilson with pressure, and he's going to be taken down for the sack. It will not be a safety. They'll mark it inside the 1. But Andre Bruce came through cleanly.
Tim, when I talked to Andre Bruce before the game, he was popping off in his feet, looking real spry. The one thing this young man wants to do is rush the passer, and I'm glad to see Atlanta finally turning him loose and letting him go after the quarterback. He's right at the top of your screen, number 93, Andre Bruce. Now, you see Finney's trying to block him up there, the fullback. He just simply throws Finney to the ground, and now he throws Wade Wilson to the ground. This young man can rush the passer. That's what he did at Auburn. That's what the Falcons have got to let him do.
Awfully close to being a safety. Loss of 10, 3rd down and 17. The ball is marked officially now at the 2. Again, it's Finney, left side, breaks 1 tackle. still on his feet at the 10. Well, he gave Tim Green a ride because Green got there to make the tackle, and then he still picked up another 4 yards.
There will be criticism of the Minnesota Vikings offense for at times being conservative, but when you try to pass on second down and you almost get a safety, then you have to wonder about whether or not you feel secure down near your goal line throwing the football and having your quarterback in the pocket.
Well, Bob Schnelker has come under a lot of criticism this year from the fans in Minnesota, but he has been defended very vociferously by Jerry Burns. Low snap for Bucky Scribner. Gets off a high kick that'll take Deion Sanders all the way back to the 35. Sanders breaks the tackle and gets out to the 41. A 52-yard punt and a 5-yard return. The tackle made by Andre McMillan.
Tim, we were coming back up from the field before the ball game, and we saw the Vikings. They came past us. You saw the look in their eyes. What kind of a team did you think that they were when they were going down that ramp? Do you see that focus in their eyes?
Team on a mission, no question about it.
So I'm glad I'm not playing them today.
Chicago Bears, 5 years in a row on top of that NFC Central. But right now, the Vikings, if they win their final 3, can take it. First down at the 42. The give in the backfield to Keith Jones, and he gets a couple of tough yards. Offensively for Atlanta, Chris Miller is the quarterback. He's got 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Only 28th NFL start, and he's thrown for over 5,000 yards. Offensive line in front of him, Ken Clayton Dukes. Tommy Robinson starts for the injured Bill Fralick, broke his hand last week. Houston Hoover and Ron Heller, the tight end. Jones, Settle, Collins, and Haynes, the skilled positions. Bailey and Dixon come in obvious passing downs. Second down and 9 at the 43. Miller lobs it to Settle, and Settle's hit after a gain of 2 by Scott Studwell, the Vikes' leading tackle. 35-year-old Pro Bowler. He leads this team in tackles. Defensively, Noga, Thomas, Keith Millard, and Chris Dolman. And Millard's banged up, as Dan told you. Merriweather, Studwell, and Ray Berry. And Studwell, 35 years old, just continues to churn them out. Lee, Rutland, Curtis, and Joey Browner, the all-pro strong safety. Bullington and Andre McMillan come in the nickel and dime situations.
And Carl Lee's an all-pro at that left cornerback position. He said this year, you know, they just haven't been throwing his way, so he hasn't been getting too much action over there and can't get any interception.
Third down and 5 for Atlanta. Collins in motion. Miller in trouble. Has the completion? No. Collins had it but couldn't hold on. The defensive play was made by Reggie Rutland to knock it loose.
I'll go back and correct you on that one, Tim. It was made downfield by Rutland, but you saw who that pressure came from? Up inside, Keith Millard put pressure on Chris Miller and really flushed him out of the pocket. Now, watch him down here in the middle. That's Keith Millard, number 75. Now, he's coming on to Chris Miller right there. Chris Miller has to force the play before he's really comfortable and can set back in the pocket. As a result, Rutland's able to make the play downfield.
You're going to jump on me already, are you? Wait till I tell these folks about the Deion Sanders story down on the field with you. Scott Fulhig to punt. Leo Lewis is standing on his own 10 for Minnesota. Fulhig gets off a knuckleball. Lewis at the 8. Good coverage by the Atlanta Falcons. 45-yard punt, a 7-yard return, and the tackle was made by Greg Patera and Brian Jordan. 11:50 to play, first quarter. We're scoreless at the Metrodome in Minnesota. Jim Hanifan back there talking to his players. A humorous man, but a serious coach. Took over when Marion Campbell stepped down. Jim Hanifan, 0-1 as the interim head coach. Former head coach in St. Louis. His teams won 10 or more games. 1974, 75, and 76. Won 2 division titles.
But he's got a tough job now because he's the head coach, but not only that, he's also the offensive line coach. You see him talking with Houston Hoover and Mike Kenneth, 2 starting offensive tackles. He's got double duty today.
Both teams 3 plays and punt on their first possessions. First down, Wilson pumps, rolls to the outside, a flag goes down. Wilson's got plenty of running room. Look at this. Out to the 46-yard line, but there is a flag. A gain of 30. And they're going to call it back.
This is a one-dimensional Wade Wilson that really scared the Falcons when they talked about his ability to run with the football, but it's all for naught as this one's coming back and it's a penalty tackle.
Number 63 on the offense, half the distance, still first down.
Kirk Loudermilk, the 5-year veteran out of Ohio State, was the man guilty of holding.
Kurt Loudermilk is, of course, the center now. He delivers a snap there. Now, what happens is a lot of times when your quarterback starts to roll out, you start to turn and you grab your guy. And that time he grabbed Tony Casillas and threw him down to the turf, and that's how come he got the holding penalty. Tough on those centers, you got to snap the ball and then do the same thing everybody else in that offensive line is doing. That is blocking somebody.
Look like a wrestler with the Grammy roll. 7-yard penalty. It's first down and 17 on the 7. Vikes have been backed up. Here comes Marcus Cotton. Great pressure by Cotton, the 2-year veteran. And again, it was a dangerous play.
And Mike Gann up inside 76 comes in and helps get the ball, get the pressure on the football, and as a result, Wade Wilson can't get downfield. Now watch, you can see Gann 67 come in along with Cotton 51, and they just jam up Wade Wilson's view downfield, and Gann, now Wilson throws the ball and hits his offensive tackle. That's what the problem was. He saw that pressure coming from Cotton and hits his offensive tackle.
Cotton hit his arm.
Second and 17 for the Vikings at their 7.
17. They're backed up at the 7. Play action, right side. Again, there's pressure. And Marcus Cotton makes the tackle at the 5. Well, here come the boos. These fans have not liked the offense that Minnesota's been running.
Well, one of the things that Minnesota's seeing a little different out of this Atlanta Falcon team is the Falcons are not playing as much zone as they have all season long. You're seeing a lot more man-to-man coverage. And as a result, the rollouts, the rolling pockets that you had established early that you wanted to run are not going to be as effective because that time they wanted to go to the tight end Jordan. He's covered by a linebacker. I mean, he's covered like a glove. So it changes the whole scenario for you offensively.
It'll bring up 3rd and 17 for Minnesota. 6 defensive backs now for Atlanta and 4 wideouts for the Vikes. Out of the shotgun. Wilson throws. This one has a completion. Hassan Jones has the first down. Knocked down at the 37-yard line. A gain of 31.
One of the things that happens is if a quarterback like Wade Wilson gets the opportunity, that is, gets the time to throw, then he's going to be successful downfield. Now, this time, his offensive line really sets up a nice pocket for him. He's able to step up in the pocket. Now he finds Hassan on about a 15 or 20-yard out. The difference there is he can run those deep routes now is because he has the time because his offensive line is giving him protection.
Bobby Butler was really playing soft. First down at the 39 for the Vikings. This is Finney. And another flag goes down. Jesse Tuggle with the tackle. Holding against Minnesota. So much for being focused.
Well, a lot of times you come out, and one of the other things that the Vikings didn't want to do is come out and play tight.
Holding, number 63 on the offense, still first down.
Loudermilk's having all kinds of problems with the nose tackle, Tony Casillas. That's the 3rd penalty against the Vikings. It'll be first down and 20.
Many times what you're doing when you have an outside play like that, you're the center, you got to reach over it and cut that nose tackle off, and if he jumps on the ball on you just a little bit, all of a sudden you're in bad position, and now the only thing you can do is grab him, and that's what Kurt Loudermilk did.
Play action. Wilson has time, now steps up into the pocket and has the completion. Leo Lewis makes the catch at the 44-yard line. Not enough for the first. Tackle was made by Deion Sanders. Gain of 15. They needed 20.
Leo Lewis had enough time on that pattern to run a slant in and then make it a comeback because he saw that Wade Wilson was getting in a little bit of trouble in the pocket, worked back to the quarterback. The key there, though, was that the line gave Wilson enough time, once again, to step up in that pocket.
Dan Jiggetts and I were on the field prior to the ball game, and he goes up to Deion Sanders, and Sanders says, "Hey, I understand you guys were rough on me last time." He goes, "No, it was the other guy." Sanders looks over at me. I thought he was going to hit me. Second down and 5, straight ahead to Finney. Finney carries tacklers out to the 47-yard line. He'll be just just short of the first. Tony Casillas with the stop.
Rick Finney was a star of the Vikings game against the Bears on late Sunday night. He really had a great ball game, and he's one of those guys who's a true Viking. He's kind of like Bill Brant used to play for, one of those guys that plays with a short haircut, any kind of weather and any kind of situation. Very much in the mold of Tom Rathman of the 49ers, that same kind of player.
3rd and 1 for the Vikings at their 48.
3rd down and 1 for the Vikings. Straight ahead, Finney has the first down, ball's on the ground, and I think Minnesota got it back. As a matter of fact, they whistled him down before the fumble.
That's the Vikings first down.
John O'Reilly and Jesse Tuggle with the tackle.
Rick Finney with the run. Tough. Those tough yards, that's when you want to get your fullback into 240 pounds. Let him buckle it up. See, he's got an extra tight chin strap there. That's what those fullbacks need. They need a chin strap, a face guard like a lineman, because that's what they are, a lineman with a low number.
Finney's 397 yards. Most by Minnesota fullback since Alfred Anderson had 773 in 1984. That's the second first down for Minnesota. This drive started on the 14. DJ Dozier, big hole, right side, inside the 30, the 10. Touchdown, Vikings. Touchdown, put his hands up immediately, but then he was overruled. They said he stepped out on the 12, so take it off the board. They're bringing it back out to the 12.
And here's a picture.
Show the signal.
On that sideline. As he's going down that sideline, he goes out of bounds right there. Steps on the line.
First down at the 12. Down to the 10. So it's a gain of 38 down to the 12. Tackle made by Andre Bruce after that play.
Now, one of the things Minnesota's done a little differently since Herschel has been here is they've been running out of the eye. Well, since Herschel's not playing today, DJ Dozier, you're seeing him going out of the pro set a lot more. And as a result, they're hitting those quick-hitting plays, running their sweeps like they're used to doing. The offensive linemen, if you talk to them, they say, hey, look, that's what we want to do because those are the kind of linemen we are. Now, if you want to run an eye situation, you got to have totally different kinds of offensive linemen.
Second down and 8. The play goes to Finney, right side. Breaks 2 tackles and dives ahead to the 7. Tony Casillas finally makes the stop. I think Casillas is having his best NFL season. A couple of sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, very active in the middle. Seems much more comfortable at that nose tackle spot.
But anytime you see the centers having big problems, they have to hold on to that nose tackle, then you know he's really getting active and making a lot of movement along the line of scrimmage. Because then those centers get very uncomfortable feeling that they can cut that nose tackle off.
3rd down and 5 for the Vikings. Wilson looks, checks off, comes back to the right to Dozier at the 3-yard line. Tackle made by Marcus Cotton.
And Wade Wilson's looking over because he knows now he had Hassan Jones open in the end zone, and Hassan was standing up doing jumping jacks because he wanted Wade to come to him. Wade had plenty of time to play. Now watch Hassan working against Dion here. He beats Dion because he's now back in that end zone all alone. And he's going, hey, Wade, look at me over here. I'm by myself now. Moore comes in late, but if that ball is delivered on time on a timing pattern, they got 6 points.
But the Vikings get the first down, so it'll be first down and goal. The ball at the 2. And the Vikings have been strong down here. 3 tight ends, Jordan, Ingram, Novoselsky. Play action to the right side. Touchdown, Vikings. Darrell Ingram with the catch.
offensive line. Now he's going to release out to the flat. See him rolling out there now. Wade knows he's got him all alone out there. Just plops the ball over to him. It's like a long handoff.
The only rookie on the active roster, Darrell Ingram, his first touchdown of his career. The extra point is good. Only his 5th reception of his career and his first touchdown. 5:43 remaining first period. The Vikings have scored first. It's 7-0 Minnesota as Rich Carlos tees it up. 86 yards, 11 plays. It took just over 6 minutes. Wilson was 4 for 5 on that drive and hit the rookie with the 2-yard strike. Carlos will be kicking off to Deion Sanders and Keith Jones. Sanders, 21, is the back man. This ball is squibbed. This is Jones. Breaks a couple of tackles and carries it out to the 35-yard line. Tackle made by Jesse Clark after a return of 21 yards.
This is almost made by Wilkins, the tight end, but watch how the Vikings scored on this touchdown. Now, here's the tight end right here, Ingram. Now, they're going to pretend like they're going to pass, they're going to run block here. Watch the play action now. The other key, Britton Novoselsky, the other tight end, blocks down. That swings out Ingram out into the flat. He's wide open on the play. Solo play action. Now you have a pick right on the line of scrimmage because that tight end is down blocking. You get Ingram out there in the flat. Touchdown, 6 points.
Robert Moore just bid on it and blew the coverage.
Well, he's probably thinking sweep in that situation.
He could have been thinking Ingram. This is to Collins. What a catch by the rookie. Down inside the 30 to the 24-yard line. Oh, my. And Collins may be hurt. He came down funny on his legs, but it's a gain of 41. Reggie Rutland made the stop.
The U.S. Marine Corps Reserve of the Minnesota Vikings.
Sean Collins came into this game with 45 catches, and that's a rookie record for the Falcons.
And Travis Curtis, number 49 for the Vikings, maybe he's still looking for some other parts of his equipment down on the field because Sean Collins just puts a move on there. One-hand stab, grabs the football, makes nice yardage after the play. Athletic ability there, though. He just grabbed that football right out of the air, but he went down hard.
Did you see his legs? 5:13 remaining first period. They'll work on Collins. And we'll be back.
Back in Minnesota leading 7-0, but this is how Sean Collins went down just a couple of minutes ago. Now watch when he's in stride here, he gets tackled. Now watch as his legs fold up underneath of him. You wonder how come he get paid a lot of money to play this game. That's how come. Now he's over in the sideline right now, and very hopefully he can get back in the ball game. Sean Collins, number 85.
He looks to be all right. Amazingly so. First down and 10. Down to the 10-yard line. And there, I think we have the microphone all squared away. 4:45 remaining first period. Haynes with the carry, Curtis with the tackle, and it'll be a first down Atlanta, gain of 13 yards.
Pretty interesting situation there. The Falcons run that counter trade that you see the Skins run so much, but what they do is they come back with a reverse off of it, and you get the Viking defensive line pursuing all the way over to the far side of the field, and they come back with a reverse.
A big play like Collins made can really ignite a young football team, and this is certainly a young team, Atlanta. Collins is back in the ball game now. At the bottom of your screen is one of those twin receivers. Straight ahead, not much there for Gene Lang. Lang gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Well, this is a team, Dan, as you see here by these numbers. They're right up near the top in turnovers and takeaways, and yet they haven't been able to produce the points, especially inside the 20.
That's right. That's the thing, though. If you have a lot of takeaways, then you've got to produce the numbers in terms of getting in the end zone and kicking field goals as well. And that's what the Falcons really have had a tough time doing this season. And as a result, you look at the records, and that's reflected.
Second down and 10 for the Falcons. Backside pressure drills this one incomplete. It was intended for Gary Wilkins, the tight end.
And Gary Wilkins should catch catch the football in that situation. Granted, it's a little bit behind him, but you get your hands on it, you slide down to the ground, whatever you got to do to catch the football when you can get it down on the 4-yard line.
You're right.
Jim Hanifan is going to probably rip into him a little bit when he hits that sideline.
The Falcons are last in the league in running the football. And the Vikings know that, so they go to 6 defensive backs on 3rd down and 10. Atlanta needs to get all the way down to the goal line for the first. Here's John Settle to the 8-yard line. Joey Browner makes the tackle, and again the ineptness of Atlanta shows through down deep in Viking territory.
Well, not only that, but Joey Browner is one of the real keys for the Vikings in that defensive secondary. You know, he's like having another linebacker in that defense. You see the kind of strength that he has, the ability he has to bring people down on a strong tackle. This guy's just a tremendous player, and not only that, he's one of the key leaders for that defense.
Greg Davis comes on for a 26-yard field goal attempt. The holder is Chris Miller. From 26 yards out, it's good. And Atlanta is on the board. So with 2:39 remaining first period, it's Minnesota 7, Atlanta 3. First 15 minutes winding down, 2:39 remaining first period. It's 7-3 Minnesota. And Atlanta with a fine drive. The big play, of course, was the catch by the rookie Sean Collins, a one-hander. 6 plays, 55 yards. It took just over 3 minutes, and they got the field goal out of it. Hanifan would have wanted much more, I'm sure, but the offense just couldn't move down deep in Viking territory. Greg Davis kicking off to DJ Dozier, number 42. Kick, but it's short. Dozier will move up to the 13-yard line and take this one. Dozier's got some blockers. And now it's taken down at the 25. 12-yard return by DJ Dozier. But good field position now for the Vikings to start off after the tackle by George Thomas.
And Tuttle on the tackle.
And for our viewers just joining us, you may wonder how come Herschel Walker's not in that backfield. Well,
Vikings will start
stubbed his toe, dislocated his big toe, and had to come out of the ballgame. He actually did it on Friday in practice. He ran up into the line, bumped the toe against one of his offensive linemen, spun out, went out, got some treatment, came back to practice. But on Saturday, the toe swelled up, and he just could not go today.
First down at the 25 for Minnesota. Dozier. Nice cut inside to the 32-yard line.
One of the keys that the Vikings really had to focus in on when Herschel Walker came here was blocking on the backside. Now, watch on the right side of your screen. Watch the offensive lineman and the tight end Jordan block on the backside. That allows DJ Dozier to head left. Now he's going to cut back. But you see how important that backside blocking is, because now it gives that back out of the eye an opportunity to see that daylight on the backside as well as the front side of a play.
Dozier now 3 carries, 47 yards. He came into this game with only 153 for the year. Here he is again. Big hole out to the 39-yard line. Tripped up by Jesse Tugler, and he would have had a lot more.
That was a key tackle by Jesse Tugler. He was down on the ground and just kind of reached out and grabbed DJ Dozier's foot. Key tackle there. He saved his team about 20 yards on that play.
Leo Lewis comes out of the game for Minnesota. Hassan Jones comes in. It's first down Minnesota at the 40. Jones goes to the top of the screen. AC, Anthony Carter to the bottom. Quick drop and throw. This is Carter. He's gone. They won't catch him. Here comes Sanders. Down to the 10. Well, he got behind everybody. I thought he was gone. You don't say that was Sanders.
Tim, I think this kid can run with the best of them. Have you ever seen Anthony Carter caught from behind by a defensive back? Again, Deion Sanders coming from the top of your screen, comes back and makes the play. Now here is Anthony Carter isolated here on Butler. Now he does that quick slant. That's what Minnesota does with him all the time. One of the things they want to do is get the ball in his hands and just let him run. But watch Deion Sanders with that outstanding speed come up catch him. Now he's still grabbing around the top of the helmet. One thing he's got to learn to do is get his hands on the shoulder pads or the lower part of the body, because every time you grab that helmet, you should get a penalty.
A gain of 51. Carter came up smiling because he thought, like I did, that he was gone. This is Benny, left side, down to the 5-yard line.
Kind of like one of those Cougars, you know, or Puma, they let somebody, you know, they let the game run about 50 or 60 yards and then they catch up with them. So no, let them run about another 10.
I can't remember the last time I saw Anthony Carter caught from behind. That's the end of the first quarter with the score: Minnesota 7, Atlanta 3.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Honda, who invite you to test drive a new Accord. You have to drive it to believe it. Nikon, we take the world's greatest pictures. And by Miller Lite, America's favorite light beer, brings you the Miller Lite All-Star Super Bowl.
The temperature's in the teens. And this guy right here, he really put a chill on the crowd coming from behind to catch Carter.
They can call him prime time, they can call him the mouth from the south, whatever. One thing about that young man is he has a tremendous amount of athletic ability. If he can just harness the attitude, he's going to be a great player in the National Football League. He's got to learn also, I think, to deal with criticism, and that's the thing that's always tough for young people coming in with that spotlight on them. They like the glare of those Klieg lights, but they've got to learn that those lights can also burn you a little bit. People pay that much attention to what you're doing. Tremendous athlete.
It'll be 2nd down and 5, the ball at the 6 for Wade Wilson and the Vikings. Boy, that was some play. You know, Carter was about 5 yards behind everybody.
And keep in mind how fast Anthony Carter can run. I mean, he had the ball in full stride, heading to the end zone. Everybody, I think the scorekeeper had put 6 points up on the board already, and all of a sudden here comes Deion Sanders out of nowhere. Remember, he did it against the San Francisco 49ers 2 times in that ball game. Caught Jerry Rice and Henderson, the running back.
Taken down by Tony Casillas.
Now, this is the kind of situation down on the goal line that the Vikings do not want to find themselves in, where you're forced to throw on 3rd down because of the yardage situation. Now, they can squeeze in a 1st down without scoring, but they'd have to get down to about the 1-foot line.
I don't think anybody's ever questioned the ability of DJ Dozier. He just hadn't been able to stay healthy all the time. 3rd down and 5 now at the 6 defensive backs for the Falcons.
Quick slanting patterns here for the Vikings.
4 wideouts for the Vikes. This is Finney inside the 5 to the 4.
Oh boy, you know, you get 4 wide receivers in the game. Why not use some of them, huh? You're going to try to run the football in there. I disagree with that call completely. Bob Snelka, the offensive coordinator, now is looking back and trying to figure out why he ran that play. Probably you got to throw the football down there. You got a quarterback like Wade Wilson that can find the receivers open in the end zone. If you give him an opportunity, give him some time, use him.
So Rich Carlos comes on to attempt the field goal. It'll be a 21-yard attempt. Carlos has hit 7 straight field goals. He's 9th in the NFC. And this one is good. 13:39 to go in the half. It's now 10-3. Minnesota Vikings. Bring you up to date on the playoff situation. Minnesota 3 final wins, and they take the NFC Central. San Francisco can clinch with a win Monday night. Philadelphia leads the NFC East, and they've beaten the Giants twice. This is the wild card scramble. Teams still alive: Washington, Chicago, and New Orleans. They need a lot of help to get in, but the other ones are very much alive in the hunt. This is the AFC picture. 642 possible scenarios.
Okay, we'll start going through those for you right now.
We'll wait for you. And here's the wild card picture in the AFC.
We'll be finished by the time the season's finished.
You talk about parity, you've got it. Rich Carlos to kick off for the Vikings. Sanders and Keith Jones will be deep for Atlanta. It's It's 10-3 Minnesota with 13:39 remaining in the half. Low liner by Carlos. Taken by Jones. It's a great block, but can't get outside. Returns it to the 21-yard line. They'll mark it at the 22. A return of 18.
And you notice what the Vikings are doing is they're kicking that ball away from Deion Sanders when he's back there to receive.
Deuce Babick made the tackle. There was some room to that outside. First down and 10. The ball at the 22 for young Chris Miller. Here's a 4 handicapper in golf. He knows how to spend his free time.
I'm sure he would settle for a nice 1-iron shot right now to Sean Collins or Dixon.
First down for the Falcons. Miller, 5-step drop, throws out into the flat, has the completion. And Jones is taken down at the 25-yard line. Scott Studwell with the tackle.
One of the things the Vikings are doing is they're sending Mike Merriweather on the blitz. He's coming from outside, and as a result, Scott Studwell has to come out and cover this back. Now watch the back go out. You're going to see Merriweather rush from out here. That means Studwell has to take up that back when he comes out of the backfield laying. Now you see Studwell's coming from up inside. Key there, though, is it gives that back an opportunity to get out into the flat and get free, and Chris Miller dumps it off to him.
It'll be second down and 6. The ball at the 26 for Atlanta. Miller's got pressure, throws again to the flat. This one's dropped by Keith Jones. Oh, the ball hit him between the 3 and the 8, and he couldn't hold it.
When you wonder how come your team, can't win more than 3 or 4 games in a season, when you see those kinds of things happening, that's when you know why. You got to get experienced people back there, and you got to get the young guys who you have playing like a Keith Jones making those kinds of receptions, and he normally does. He's a pretty consistent young player for these Atlanta Falcons, but he's got to make the key plays when he has the opportunity.
He's just a rookie out of Illinois. 6 defensive backs now for the Vikings. It'll be third down and 6 at the 26-yard line. Atlanta with 4 wideouts. Collins in motion. Miller's got pressure, gets out of there, has the first down and goes out of bounds. Boy, he was being chased by Chris Dolman, and Dolman can run.
Well, Dolman, you figure, is about a 4.6 40 guy, so that time I think Chris Miller must have been down around a 4.2 because he got away from Dolman and just ran to the sideline. Now, watch, the first thing is the pressure that comes from that defensive front of the Vikings. That flushes Chris Miller out of the pocket, and he just gets in a foot race with Chris Dolman, and usually that's when the quarterbacks just simply don't win. Dolman's got a little yardage to make up here, but he's in a nice stride. Looks like he's ready for the Olympics, and Chris Miller says, hey, look, I'm going to head to safety.
Vikings have 58 sacks on the year, but they haven't even gotten close to Miller yet here today. First down at the 34. Settle. Continues to move out to the 40-yard line. Tackle made by Joey Brown. Right now, let's take you back to New York and Brent Musburger. Brent?
Well, Tim, quickly now for Viking fans, Kansas City just scored. You're looking at Houston. Moon and Drew Hill's got it. 12 yards for a touchdown, and the Buccaneers are now behind 10-3. Again, Kansas City has scored first on Green Bay. Back to Tim.
All right, Brent, that's our score here as well. 10-3 Minnesota. You see the time that's remaining in the first half. It's second down and 4 Atlanta. The ball at the 40. Settle. Left side. Breaks it up. He's close to a first down out at the 44. He was tripped up by Reggie Rutland and Scott Studwell. A very important mark here for the Falcons. They're going to move the chains.
That's a Falcon first down.
Great second effort by Settle to get the first.
Yeah, because Chris Dolman really had him dead to right in the backfield, and he made an exceptional move to get past Dolman. Dolman made a nice play and he got away from 2 blockers, and then had his sights set up on John Settle and just missed him. You saw him there. He's a little frustrated because he missed that opportunity.
Dan has now 200 carries for Settle without a fumble. And Atlanta will take a timeout. So with 11:02 remaining in the half, the score remains Minnesota 10, Atlanta 3.
You are looking at Sergeant Rock, Floyd Peters, the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, guy who's been mentioned in a lot of circles for head coaching positions in the National Football League, and it is time for him to step up to the post. I think somebody's going to give him that opportunity very shortly.
It's first down Atlanta, the ball at the 44. Chris Miller on the play action, has backside pressure, now throws, has the completion. Haynes breaks the tackle, still on his feet, to the 35-yard line. Nice run by Michael Haynes. The tackle finally made by Travis Curtis.
Now, one of the reasons why Chris Miller is successful downfield is because his offensive line is doing a pretty good job up front. Now, Mike Ken is working against Chris Dolman, but see, Ken gets that nice extension there, pushes Chris Dolman away, allows his quarterback to step up in the pocket. He really negates that great rush of Chris Dolman by getting his arms out and keeping him off of him and keeping him off the quarterback.
How about the feel by Miller, knowing the pressure was coming from behind and releasing it quickly like that? A gain of 22, first down at the 34. Lang tiptoes his way to the 31-yard line. Looked like he was dancing on a light bulb. There is a flag.
Another great block there, though, by Mike Ken on the draw play. He flipped out Chris Dolman and got him out of the way completely. Blocked him 2 times, hit him 2 times on that shot.
Get the call by Red Cashin. They pick it up, put it back in their pocket, say there is no flag, second down and 7 at the 31.
It was no flag, it was just dirty laundry.
I think it just fell out of his pocket. Falcons need 7. Miller fires, has the completion. And Jones at the 30, and the crowd likes the defense out there by Joey Browner.
But Joey ran him back to the next county just about when he made the stop. Told you how physical this guy is in that secondary for the Vikings. Joey Browner has tremendous hand strength, arm strength, the whole upper body, and that's a result of a lot of martial arts that he does. And of course, you see it as a result now. When he comes up and makes that stop, he just pops people cold.
He's big too, 6'2", 224 pounds.
We're talking to him about the situation with his older brothers. Of course, he's an Atlanta guy. He comes from Atlanta. He said that he could never brag when he was a young man because when you have older brothers like Ross and all those guys, you have to be kind of humble.
Third down and 2 for the Falcons. Miller's been hot. He's 5 for 8. This ball is dropped by Settle. It should have been caught. Miller is telling Hanifan he wants to go for it. Right now, let's take you back to Brent Musburger. Brent?
Well, Tim, quickly, the Bears could be knocked out of the playoffs today. Detroit strikes for the first touchdown in this game. On the option, Galliano rolls into the end zone. And right now, the Lions lead the Bears 7-3. Let's go back to Tim.
It'll be 4th down and 2 at the 26, and the Falcons are going to go for it. And why not?
That's right. They're in the kind of same situation Detroit is in playing against the Bears. I predict that the Lions will beat the Bears today with all the injuries they've got. This is a critical situation for Atlanta.
Play action by Miller. Looks deep to the tight end, and it's caught for a touchdown. Wilkins makes a marvelous catch. 26-yard pass from Miller to Wilkins.
Tim, right before we broke away to break, you said that Chris Miller was calling. He said, I want to go for it. He's calling over to Jim Hanifan, throws the ball down. It floats up pretty nicely, though, and his tight end comes in and makes a beautiful reception down on the goal line. Now, watch number 1. We talk about when you get the time to throw. That's what Chris Miller gets here. Floats out, a little moving pocket there. Now sets up, looks back across the field for his tight end. Now, watch the catch down in the end zone. Now, this is tremendous by Wilkins. He's got 2 defenders back there. He just goes up and muscles the ball. It's like a rebound. He just took it.
Now, Travis Curtis is 5'10". Rutland is 6'1". Wilkins is 6'2.5". Davis with the kick. And there is a flag this time, and it didn't fall out of a pocket.
Somebody in the Vikings defensive line jumped across before the ball was snapped. He tacked on to the kick.
Offside on the defense. Point counts. Be a 5-yard penalty on the kickoff.
And we're tied. 8 minutes, 37 seconds remain in the first half, and Atlanta hanging right with Minnesota. The Vikings have to win this game in the next two to take the title. Jim Hanifan, the interim head coach, goes on 4th and 2. And his young quarterback, Miller, throws to Gary Wilkins for a 26-yard touchdown, and all of a sudden, we're tied at the Metrodome. 10 plays, 78 yards. It took 5 minutes, 2 seconds. And there's the touchdown, of course, to Wilkins.
Watch a boot stick.
Miller, 6 for 10, 103 yards and a touchdown. He was 4 for 6 on that drive. Greg Davis kicking off to that guy, DJ Dozier. Onside kick. And Minnesota gets it. Jim Hanifan's pulling out all the stops.
What you do sometimes when you do that onside kick now is you do it because if you see that front line is turning their backs and taking off on you, once that ball goes 10 yards, it's a free ball. So if you see that Minnesota front line turning their backs and running back field in order to set up their blocks, then you're going to try to pooch it up there a little bit and see if you can get back to it. This time, it didn't work for the Falcons.
We saw the Redskins do that against Chicago just a couple of weeks ago, and it worked very well. It was recovered by Deuce Babick.
First and 10.
Minnesota has excellent field position at the 46. First down, Vikings. Wilson looks deep, throws, has a man wide open. Jordan at the 20. A gain of 34 yards.
Watch Steve Jordan, number 83, the tight end. He's releasing off the line. He'll be on the left side of your screen now. They're playing zone, Atlanta is. What happens is Jordan gets in a little seam in the zone, and the guy that has the cover comes from all the way in the middle of the field, Tim Gordon, number 41. Now, when he slides in back of the linebackers, you expect your safeties to be there to pick him up, particularly this strong safety.
300th career reception. First down and 10 Vikings. The ball at the 19. This is Dozier. Halfback pass, wide open is Carter. Touchdown Vikings. This is fun. We've got a little bit of everything.
We saw the Vikings practicing that halfback pass with Herschel Walker earlier in the week, and Herschel could not throw the football. I mean, he throws terrible. DJ Dozier's got a pretty good arm.
Well, even DJ hung it up there because AC was wide open, and he gave Cooper and Gordon time to catch up.
They wanted to make one for the highlight reel.
Carlos with the extra point attempt. And it's good.
Anthony Carter said this pass was so nice he caught it twice. 19 yards on the play. DJ Dozier on the halfback option. Now watch him just sit out here. Says, hey, I think I'll plunk it down to AC. Now AC's going to get 2 opportunities to catch it. 1. Now he's gone up for the tip drill. 2. Catches it. 6 points. Mike.
DJ Dozier, the first pass of his career. He's 1 for 1 as a pro, and it's a touchdown.
DJ might have to try to get those passing stats worked into his contract in his next negotiations.
53 yards, 2 plays, took only 59 seconds. And the Vikings are on top by 7. This is Deion Sanders. Sanders out to the 25-yard line. Looked like he did a little high step instead of sprinting outside. 23-yard return. Coming up next, immediately following this game, stay tuned for the big battle in the West. The Giants against the Denver Broncos in their first meeting since the Super Bowl. That's immediately following this game. Take a look at the standings in the NFC East. Philadelphia and the Giants on top. Philadelphia has beaten the Giants twice. It's a big game for New York.
Yeah, because they started to look at the wild card scenario now and figuring out what the Rams are going to do. And of course, who's going to come out of the Central? Could be the Packers and the Vikings, fighting it out for that wild card spot in the Central. And Giants have to keep their eye on this race as well.
Miller, 6 for 10, 103 yards and a touchdown. This is first down. the completion to Michael Haynes.
One of the things that Atlanta is doing that's very smart on their part is they're throwing a lot of timing patterns, and that is just letting Chris Miller get back 5 yards and popping the ball in there. They saw what the San Francisco 49ers were able to do with that quick popping offense against the Giants, and everybody says, hey, look, let's try that little rhythm passing game, because it really defeats a great rushing defense. If you could just sit back there and pop the ball off, and the linebackers have to cover the running backs, and now you have to get tight coverage by your defensive backs as well.
Second down, they need 3. To the 35-yard line, Keith Jones.
Keith Jones, the ball carrier.
He'll be close to a first down. And he's got it. They'll move the chains. Tackle made by Joey Browner and Brad Edwards.
San Diego beating the Washington Redskins. Another surprising score is the Saints score. They were beating Buffalo up in Buffalo.
Redskins have to win their final 3 games and then hope. They've got to get some help. First down, the ball at the 37. It's 17-10 Minnesota. Miller again with a quick drop, throws, has the completion to Jones again, and Jones is out to the 45-yard line. Joey Browner again makes the tackle.
Browner and Merriweather.
You saw Jones coming in motion, and what happened is Studwell took him to the corner, that is right to the end of the defensive line, and he released him to Joey Browner. Now Browner's going to come up on the right side of your screen from his safety position, and he's got a man-to-man out there. You see Studwell now releasing him out to the side, and Browner just can't get up in time. Jones runs a nice little stop route there on the sideline.
What's important here is the Falcons are picking up big chunks on first down, something they haven't done before.
With a patient passing game, too, by the way.
Third catch by Jones, gain of 8. It'll be second down and 1. Settle has the first down. Tackle made by Henry Thomas.
And Henry Thomas is one of those guys that Floyd Peters said he's a steady guy there, the plumber. You know, the guy that you can always rely on to get there and fix the leak if you got one in your defense. He's the guy that settles that defensive line down. You always have to have that pillar of strength. When you have all those greyhounds out there, you're going to have one guy that's a pillar of strength in there. It's Henry Thomas for the Vikings.
It's still very, very early. But right now, Atlanta is playing pretty well with the Vikings.
Well, they did the same thing last week against the 49ers. I mean, they came out and they played extremely well all the way through about the third quarter. And then that's when they started to doubt themselves a little bit, I think. It'll be important to see how they play in the second half.
On first down, Settle off the right side out to midfield. And they'll mark it at the 49. Scott Studwell, the leading tackler, makes the stop. Tim Brant and Dan Jiggetts with you at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Full house. What's on the line? Minnesota has to win its final 3 games to win the NFC Central. Atlanta comes in and has a 3-10 record, not really expected to be in the ball game. They played quite well. You see the time remaining in the first half. Wilson hit Darrell Ingram for their touchdown. For Atlanta, the big play was made by Collins. Second down and 6. Miller fires. Joey Browner with the interception. Browner to the 34, and he may be hurt. A 9-yard return, but Joey Browner's in some pain.
Talk to the secondary of the Vikings. They said one of the things Chris Miller doesn't do is throw a lot of interceptions, and the main reason why is he's a very patient quarterback. That time Joey Browner just kind of sat back there and watch him play that right field and just sit back there and pick off Chris Miller. Now there's one problem that Miller has. He knows he's got Keith Millard breathing down his neck, so he gets out to that corner. He knows he's got to unload it. Unwisely, he unloads underneath his receiver Jones, who's still running towards the end zone, and Browner makes the interception.
First down, Vikings, the ball at the 34. Wade Wilson steps up in the pocket, drills it, has it incomplete, thrown in the direction of Hassan Jones.
Jones is incomplete.
Wade just joining us. Wilson hit Darrell Ingram to make it 7-0. It was just a 2-yard pass. And Atlanta's Greg Davis hit a 26-yard field goal. It was 7-3. Vikings came right back to start the second period. Wilson to Carter, 51-yard gain, and Carlos hit the 21-yard field goal to cap that drive. It was 10-3. And Miller threw to Gary Wilkins for a 26-yard strike, 10-10. And right now it's 17-10 to Minnesota. Completion to Leo Lewis.
One of the things that's happening is Atlanta's defensive backs, particularly Deion Sanders, is giving a nice big cushion to Leo Lewis. He respects the speed that Lewis has, but what Lewis does is he pushes him off now, so he makes him think he's going upfield. Now he breaks back to the ball on that comeback route. What you do is you set up the defensive back, letting him think that you're going to try to break it deep, and then you break back to the ball. And it's all for naught because it's holding against the Minnesota Vikings.
It's on Tim Irwin. So a gain of 14 is negated. That's the 5th penalty for the Vikings. Atlanta has not thrown a flag yet.
When we talked to the Vikings earlier this week, they told us the one thing they have to do is they have to play loose. Jerry Burns was adamant about it. He says, I want my guys to play loose. Well, they came into the game very focused and very much into the game, and maybe they came in tight. When they play tight, they don't play well.
It'll be 2nd down and 20. The ball at the 24. Complete to Hassan Jones, and Jones is nailed. Good coverage by Bobby Butler.
Mike Gann came in and put a little pressure on that time and flushed Wade Wilson out to the side. That always helps your defensive backs out. They know that they've got a big defensive lineman. He's number 67. Now watch him put the pressure. 76, excuse me. He's at the top of your screen. Nobody really blocks him. Rick Finney tries to get a hand on him late, but he's already chasing Wade Wilson all around the county.
Down and 10, the ball at the 34. Wilson out of the shotgun. Throws underneath to Finney. Breaks a tackle out the midfield, still on his feet at the 48. First down, Minnesota. A gain of 18 before Dimry can finally take him down.
Rick Finney is Bogart tough, you know, like Humphrey Bogart was in all those movies. See, when you get a fullback that can go out there on the screen and he doesn't yell go to his lineman, Kurt Loudermilk, 63, was out there on the screen with him. He just wants to take it all in there by himself. He did it that time. Now watch him when he's got his lineman Loudermilk out there, the center 63, and watch Finney never tells him go because Loudermilk's still standing there. Now as a lineman, you can't run until you hear that go from the running back. In this case, Loudermilk's still looking. He's looking now. Finney's down there beating up the whole secondary.
It'll be 1st down and 10 at the 48. Here's Wilson again. Backside pressure. Now throws up top. And it's incomplete. Tim Gordon had a shot at the interception because Dozier actually fell down and he may be shaken up.
What happened was Tim Gordon looked like rolled up on him just as he went down to the ground. But if I'm DJ Dozier, I don't want to let those guys over there on the other side of the ball know that I'm hurt. And he is limping very seriously now coming off the field. Watch now as he goes down. It looks like he just trips over there. Gordon didn't really hit him. He just tripped down on the sideline. And he is down on the turf now. And the medical staff of the Vikings is out to take a look.
So what do? Do you come in with Herschel, who has a dislocated toe? Or do you bring in Jesse Clark?
Well, let me put it this way. If you don't come in with Herschel Walker in a game like this where you desperately need the win to stay in the playoff mix, then maybe the only time you get to bring him back in is next season when you start it up at the beginning of the regular season, because your off season could be a short one or a long one, excuse me. DJ Dozier now coming up with that problem knee.
Herschel Walker is on the field and in the offensive huddle.
You bet. We'll see how seriously that toe is hurt now.
Well, he told us last night, he said it would be okay. He just had to find a comfortable donut or a pad to put around the toe. Albeit he was running rather gingerly in pregame warm-ups.
Get some steel toes in those AstroTurf shoes.
So DJ Dozier comes off. Herschel comes in. It'll be 2nd down and 10 at the 48-yard line.
As you can see, Herschel Walker has not had a great career against Atlanta. His average is just under 68 yards per game. Try to correct that today.
2nd down and 10 at the 48. Again, it's Finney. Breaks one tackle, and then he's hit hard by Jesse Tuggle, the linebacker.
Herschel Walker was the guy that was going to try to come up and block him, and Tommy Kramer's in the game as well.
Wilson leaves it. He was 8 for 11, 166 yards and a touchdown. Kramer comes in to quarterback. We'll find out why the switch. Wade Wilson, they were working on his ankle. He twisted it slightly. They've retaped it, and now he comes back into the ball game. This was just moments ago. The trainer working on that left ankle. He was sacked hard, twisted that ankle, got it caught up underneath of him. And he's back in the ball game. Kramer comes in for one play, puts his baseball hat back on, and goes to the red man. It'll be 3rd down and 11. The ball at the 49 for Wade Wilson. Pretty good numbers today. Out of the shotgun. Has time and the completion. Hassan Jones with the catch at the 27-yard line. Deion Sanders made the stop. 1:45 remaining.
One of the things you want to see Deion Sanders learn to do is play tighter coverage when you're 15, 20 yards downfield. You got to, at some point or another, you got to snuggle up to that receiver and let him know that you're in the area and you care about what he's doing. Deion's still giving too much of a cushion.
A gain of 22, 3rd catch by Jones. It'll be 1st down, the ball at the 27, and the clock continues to move. 1:20 remaining in the half. Wilson throws underneath to Herschel. Herschel breaks one tackle and lunges forward to the 22.
He broke the first tackle at Jesse Tuggle, but Tuggle was staying on him so tough that he was able to reach down and grab his legs just as Herschel was trying to get into his burst.
Minnesota takes a timeout. It is the Vikings first. Coming up at halftime, Brent and Herb with all the scores, highlights, and the latest information from around the league. And Dick Butkus profiles the Broncos rookie running back from Alabama, Bobby Humphrey, whose legs have taken some of the pressure off John Elway's arm.
It was interesting watching the NFL today to see the feature that they did on Tom Landry and his concerns now about the direction that the Cowboys have taken. But we haven't really heard anything from Tom. He's been very quiet on that whole situation. It was nice to see him speak out a little bit.
Jim Hanifan, the interim head coach. He is a funny guy. We must have spoken to him last night for 2 hours.
He's a guy, he should be on Entertainment Tonight.
He's not being funny now. He's serious. And it's 2nd down and 5 at the 22 for the Vikings. Wilson has pressure. He throws it incomplete.
And he should be ruled in the grass. Tony Casillas had him and was going down with him. If you're going to call the in the grass rule, that's when you call it. If you're going to use that kind of rule, Tony Casillas was in there.
That's exactly what he was saying to Red Cashin.
Now watch Casillas 75. He's right in the middle of your screen. He's working against Kurt Loudermilk. Gets a nice rush up the field. Grabs the quarterback down by the legs. Now, that's the situation where normally everybody's concerned about the quarterback getting injured. This time they don't give him a call. So if you're the defensive lineman, the next time you're in that situation, you probably roll up the quarterback a little bit more.
I agree with you. It has to be called. 3rd down and 5 at the 22. All you want is consistency out of the officials. Wilson going up top, going to the corner. Incomplete. He overthrew Steve Jordan, who had a step in the corner.
Steve Jordan, a tight end with wide receiver speed. When you look at how fast you can get down the field, you understand how come Wade Wilson wants to look for him deep. But to go back to that call or that non-call, Tim, you're right. One of the things that the officials have to do is be consistent when they make calls like that, because otherwise it puts that doubt in the defensive linemen's minds, and that's when you see quarterbacks getting hurt because they take that extra step.
So it brings up 4th and 5, and Rich Carlos comes on. A 39-yard field goal attempt. He's already hit from 21. Plenty long enough, and it's good. The Falcons were saying it was off to the left. The officials say it's good. Under a minute to play in the first half, and the Vikings have extended that lead to 10.
Well, now, if you're the Atlanta Falcons now, what do you start thinking about over the sideline? Because, you know, as we talked about at the top of this game, you're playing for pride and you have nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose. So you come out, you have some fun, and I'm sure if you go over there and listen in that huddle, what Jim Hanifan is telling his guys, say, hey, look, just go out there and have some fun. Stay after them and stay up and involved in the game, and good things will happen for you.
Well, Carlos has now hit 9 straight field goals. Hit one from 21, he hit one from 39, and it's 20-10 Vikings. The Metrodome is sold out this afternoon. They enjoy their football up here in cold country. 15 degrees outside, snow flurries.
Well, you're talking about cold now. You're from Washington, and they got 15 inches of snow down there, and Minnesota doesn't have any snow.
We're rather comfortable right now. Climate-controlled Metrodome. Comfortable 70 degrees. Redskins continue to trail San Diego. Key game for Washington. So Rich Carlos will be kicking off with Deion Sanders 21 and Keith Jones 38. They're standing at the 10. This ball goes out of bounds. And they throw the flag.
Falcons will get it at the 35.
Bounds, it'll be the receiver's ball at the 35-yard line.
So no time goes off the clock. 59 seconds remain. And we'll see what the young Chris Miller can do.
With 59 seconds, Chris Miller can work the sidelines very effectively with his big wide receivers. I go to Sean Collins in a lot of critical situations because he's a taller, rangier receiver than Dixon is.
6 of the last 7 games between these two clubs have been decided by a touchdown or less. 3 of them by 1 point.
Let's watch the play of the cornerbacks from Minnesota. See if they have an outside technique to try to prevent the receivers from getting to the sideline.
4 wide receivers. First down at the 35 for Atlanta. Miller has pressure and is sacked at the 25-yard line. Chris Dolman, his 15th sack of the year.
Not bad for a guy who brings a briefcase to work every day. Now watch Chris outside. Chris Dolman, number 56. Good shake move there. This guy has more moves than most defensive linemen you will ever see. And as Floyd Peters, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings, told us, he thinks he's the best defensive athlete he's ever coached. And that's saying a lot when you think about who Floyd Peters has coached as a defensive line coach.
Now I wonder if Millard will get half of that sack because he got there almost the same time. Millard has 16 sacks. If he gets that half, he'd be tied for the lead in the NFL with Tim Harris.
I'm sure, you know, they'll probably discuss that inside the huddle and say, hey, what do you think? You're going to give me half of that or you know, was it a third or what? See, they're talking about it now. Chris is saying, hey, do I get a half on that one? You see Dolman going, no, not mine.
Millard and Dolman have combined for more than 31 sacks.
They are tremendous. See, one thing that they really bring to the game is when you see them pop off the ball, that instant pressure, it's like a microwave oven. As soon as that ball is snapped, they're up in the quarterback's face. When you have 2 guys like that, and Al Noga was really the other principal to add into the mix because he's putting pressure from the other side. Then all of a sudden, these guys become extremely dangerous.
59th sack of the year for the Vikings. It'll be second down and 19. Atlanta has 1 timeout remaining. John Settle on the draw, breaks back inside and is out to the 40-yard line. So it'll bring up 3rd down and almost 5. Tackle was made by Darrell Fullington.
Mention a look at those cornerbacks to see if they have an outside technique. Watch Brim down here, 44 at the bottom of your screen. Watch him jump to the outside, take away that outside position.
Here comes the pressure again. Miller fires this one incomplete. Collins is not sure whether that ball was for him.
It is 4th down.
Pressure came from Dolman again. Looked like Dixon and Collins both were in the same area.
Once again, you see those defensive backs, they jump to the outside of that receiver. They say, hey, we're going to take away the outside. If you catch any balls, it's going to be in the middle of the field. You have to drain the clock.
Scott Fulhake comes on to punt. Leo Lewis will be standing deep for the Vikings at his own 17-yard line. Seconds on the clock. high spiraling punt. Lewis fair catches it at the 16. So it's a 43-yard punt, no return. They officially mark it at the 17-yard line, and the Vikings will have first down with 22 seconds remaining.
Kansas City beating up on Green Bay up in Green Bay, and that's really a big surprise, because you figure Green Bay has got to be looking at the Central Division race and saying, hey, look, we're all over this thing now. We continue to win our ball games, and we're right in it. But Green Bay will wait until the fourth quarter. You know that.
That's a surprise. This game's really not a surprise. Vikings playing fairly well when you remove the penalties, but they've been penalized quite a bit today. And they're in control of this game 20-10. The Washington game, a bit of a surprise. San Diego up on top of them by 2 touchdowns.
The key thing for the Vikings is that they want to be able to win in December. They have not been lucky in December over the last few years, and I feel this is a critical month for them. And as we said before, they don't win their last 3. They're out of it.
First down, Minnesota. The Vikings have scored on 4 of their 5 possessions. Here's the little dunk to Jordan, and Jordan picks up a big gainer for a first down. Minnesota goes out of bounds and stops the clock with 15 seconds left.
Nice little screen play there out to the tight end. Now you keep working it downfield, and again, get your tight end out of bounds. Whoever the receiver is, let him get out of bounds. Get maximum yardage, just tuck it in.
A gain of 12.
Steve Jordan, all-pro tight end out of Brown University, engineering major. That's what he works at during the off-season as well.
Has 27 catches for the year, 2 touchdowns. And we saw earlier he went over his 300th catch in his career for the Vikings. First down for Wade Wilson. Steps up and he goes deep. Incomplete. Oh, I thought for a second that Gustafson had a chance to catch it.
Well, they ran the Big Ben. You know, you send 3 receivers down in a tight formation, and then you just throw it up there, lob it up, and hope that maybe a Gustafson or somebody else can tip it to one of the other receivers or just catch it outright. Here's the Big Ben play. Now you see the 3 receivers lined up together. They're going to go down there and try to tip the ball to one another or make the outright catch. Now Gustafson's the inside guy, so he's going to go up for it, but he'd have been in better shape if he had tried to tip it to maybe one of the outside guys.
Second down and 10, the ball will be 29. 8 seconds remain in the half. Finney, the inside handoff. Across the 40 and goes out of bounds at the 44. 1 second still remains on the clock. He was knocked out by Marcus Cotton.
Forced out by Scott Case.
If you're the Vikings, you run the Big Ben into the end zone, try to get a penalty, half can in on a defensive penalty, so you get one more shot.
Well, Steve Jordan comes back into the ball game. He brings the play from the sidelines. A gain of 15. Penny now 9 carries, 41 yards. Gustafson, Jones, and AC. Anthony Carter come to the bottom of your screen. Wilson loads up, throws deep. Everybody's at the 10, and it's knocked down. So that's the end of the first half. With the score, Minnesota 20, Atlanta 10. We're at halftime, and the Vikings lead the Falcons 20-10 at the Metrodome. And welcome back, everybody. I'm Tim Brant along with Dan Jiggetts. And Dan, it's been an impressive first half for the Vikings. The Vikings scored on 4 of their 6 possessions. They came away, didn't score on the last one, but 4 of 6 possessions, and Atlanta just hadn't been able to stop them.
Well, I think the one thing the Vikings are a little concerned about is the fact they've had a lot of penalties that have really damaged their drives, and hasn't really taken them off the board. But one thing that they did have was a positive is DJ Dozier, when he rolled out through that halfback option pass. And I tell you what, he put a nice little spiral on it. AC did the right thing down in the end zone. He caught it twice. Make it look interesting and look dangerous. You see DJ's got a nice tight spiral on that thing. Now watch AC. 1 catch, 2 catch, he searches around, does that little catcher's thing, and finds down in the end zone. And DJ, you know, he was all over it. He was a very pleased guy after he threw his first touchdown off his first pass. He goes, yeah,
got it.
Big half for DJ. He had 54 yards rushing. Benny had 41. Filled in admirably for the injured Herschel Walker, but then it was DJ Dozier who went out with an injury, and Herschel Walker had to come back in with a dislocated toe and play.
Well, it'll be interesting, too, to see how hurt DJ Dozier is. It looked like a knee, and we certainly hope that it's not anything real serious, and hopefully he may be able to come back for the second half. We'll check on that.
Both quarterbacks were extremely sharp. Wade Wilson went 11 for 18, over 200 yards and a touchdown. Miller was 8 for 14, 119 yards and a touchdown. So the quarterbacks were sharp.
I think one thing, though, with the Falcons is they have to come out and play the second half like they did the early part of the game. That is just play loose, play free, have some fun, and let the final score be what it is. But if you come out and you come out tight and you're not enjoying yourself, then you're going to get blown out in this game.
One thing Atlanta has done well is held out that Minnesota defense. Only one sack on Miller this afternoon. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this message and a word from your local stations. We're just about set to begin the second half. Minnesota leading Atlanta 20-10. Take a look at that Central Division race. Minnesota and Green Bay tied at the top. Chicago at 6-7 must win to continue to even be in the hunt.
And both Green Bay and Chicago are losing their games today. You see Green Bay down by a score of 21-3 to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are very much in the hunt in the AFC.
And a loss by Chicago would eliminate the Bears. This is what they have coming up through the rest of the month of December. The Vikings, not easy. They go to Cleveland, then finish here against Cincinnati. Green Bay plays away at Chicago and at Dallas. And the Bears go against Green Bay, of course, and the San Francisco 49ers, and that's in San Francisco.
Minnesota's got a tough road to go, but when you look at the competition in terms of Green Bay and Chicago, that's going to be a tough game for the Green Bay to win because it's going to be down in Chicago. So they quite possibly could be looking at a loss there. And then the Dallas game, you'd expect the Packers, quite honestly, at that point in the season to take Dallas.
Well, it is a tough road, but Minnesota could get some help today if Green Bay and Chicago both lose. The Vikings in control here, and of course, they can control their own destiny. If they win all their remaining games, they win the title outright.
But Tim, you know, when you talk to Burns, you know that his focus is on winning all 3 ball games, and he doesn't care what else happens. He told his guys, hey, look, just go out and take these and let all that other stuff fall into place.
Jerry Burns.
Burgess Meredith. I asked him the other day, I said, how many times have you been mistaken for Burgess Meredith? He says, well, George Burns I've been mistaken for as well.
He said people have called him George Burns so much he starts answering to George now. Statistically, you see the Vikings have the edge in every category.
Key there, though, the Falcons, the Falcons have not been penalized, but then again, they haven't really been able to convert when they get down in that red zone.
So we're just about set to begin the second half at the Metrodome. Rich Carlos will be kicking off. Deion Sanders and Keith Jones are deep. Sanders goes all the way back into the end zone. And Keith Jones stands at about the 7 and he now walks back.
Falcons made a change in their wedge. They put all the running backs down there because they know Carlos likes to squib that ball. He doesn't want to get it down to Deion Sanders. So now they got 4 guys that are used to handling the ball right down to the 20-yard line instead of having the big lineman back there.
We're all set. It's 20-10 Minnesota. We're ready to begin the second half. Carlos is set. The whistle blows and we're underway. Again, it's a low squib kick that goes out of bounds. They aren't going to give Deion Sanders a chance to even think about a return here this afternoon.
And that's a lot of respect. I mean, he's a rookie returning kicks, and they're giving him that much respect. The Minnesota Vikings are. So now the Falcons will get the ball at the 35-yard line.
Strong first half by Miller. He comes now onto the field. So up front it'll be Ken, Clayton, Robeson, Jamie Dukes, and Houston Hoover. Heller is the tight end. Sean Collins and Dixon are the wideouts.
If I'm Chris Miller, too, I'm going back to my rhythm passing game. It was very effective in the first half.
Miller fires, and it's complete. Haynes into Viking territory at the 48-yard line. Tackle finally made by Joey Browner, who was shaken up in the first half, and he's slow getting up this time. Gain of 17 yards.
Hey, that offense is just like a dance, you know, 1, 2, 3, throw, 1, 2, 3, catch. That's what you have to do if you're the Falcons, because if you try to run deep routes on this Minnesota Vikings team, you know that defense in front of the Vikings is going to put tremendous heat on your quarterback.
There is no question that Miller can throw the football. And he doesn't throw many interceptions. First down at the 48. Settle with a big hole off the right side. Is tripped up by Barry.
Oh, John, get up, smiling. He said he's just one step away from breaking it. How many times have you seen the Falcons be in that same kind of situation? Just that one tackle, that one arm tackle prevents their running backs from breaking it for, you know, the 20 to 30 yard variety type of a run.
When you're 5'9", 210 pounds, you don't like to be taken down by one arm. Second down and 8. Haynes and Collins come to the bottom of the screen. Collins in motion. Miller goes up top, and it's complete to Haynes. And the ball is ruled down inside the 20.
You saw the official saying that the ball was down and the ground could not cause a fumble. In that case, Haynes fell down on top of the ball and the ball came out. As a result, they say, hey, look, the ground can't cause a fumble. The ball's down right here.
A gain of 24.
Right side of your screen, Mark Haynes is down on the route, the go route. Now watch him as Michael Haynes, as he's going down that sideline. He catches the ball now. Key question here, does the ground cause the fumble or does the defensive back run it? Now you see Haynes is trying to get back to that ball. He thinks that he fumbled it. Tough as hell from that angle. If we had a real tight sideline angle, then you might be able to see it even better. But right there, it looked like he dropped that ball.
Pressure came from Browner. First down to the 17. Miller has plenty of time. Throws. Touchdown, Collins. Wide open in the secondary. 17-yard strike from Miller. How about that to start the second half?
Well, they went to the rhythm passing game, then they went to the deep rhythm passing game and simply loaded it up and went after the Vikings. Now, we talked about Chris Miller being successful when he gets enough time. He's got good vision downfield, and he's a good quarterback that stands in. He stands in this time, takes his time looking downfield, and he is successful finding receiver down the catch.
We talked at halftime about the job the offensive line was doing. Only one sack on Miller today. He's had time. Davis here with the extra point.
Kick is good. Vikings.
So it's 20-17 as Atlanta tightens things up, and the folks here in Minnesota start to boo.
Sean Collins scores a touchdown for the Atlanta Falcons. You see him in motion now. Watch him break up. You see Brad Edwards, number 27, the safety coming up. He never really covered Sean Collins. Collins gets behind the linebackers. Now you see the linebackers right there, bottom of your screen. They react back, but no one ever covered Collins when he came in motion and broke out.
Quick work by the Falcons, 65 yards, 4 plays. Took only 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Miller, 3 for 3 on the drive. He's now 11 for 17, 2 touchdowns. Greg Davis to kick off. And Leo Lewis, number 87, is deep. A high end over end kick. Lewis at the 5. Whoa, and he is nailed.
I think Lewis might be back at the 5-yard line after that stick.
Well, I guess you'd say Robert Moore and Greg Patero were there. But what a lick.
Please, Dennis Elflon. Please report to the football press box. Dennis Elflon.
Next Saturday, CBS Sports action begins with the NFL football as the Cowboys visit the Giants at the Meadowlands. It all begins with the NFL Today at a special time, 12 noon Eastern. Then the road to the Final Four begins as the season premiere of NCAA basketball gets underway on CBS. DePaul, the Blue Demons, travel to Chapel Hill to take on the Tar Heels, 3:45 Eastern. That's all next Saturday here on CBS. Benny straight ahead, carries tacklers across the 25 to the 26. Benny's having a fine day. He is a tough running back.
And it's interesting, too. You know, you look at a guy like him. See, he's got blood on the elbows now. He's got that kind of, you know, you want to get that on your pants, though, because that shows everybody that you've really been into the ball game. You see, he's got it on the pants, on the towel. It's the total look of a fullback, see? He's one of those old throwbacks. That's what I was saying. Maybe playing indoors, maybe playing on AstroTurf, but he wants to get the look. The jersey's tucked up underneath his shoulder pads. It's great.
47 yards on 10 carries. That's pretty strong. Second down and 4 at the 26. Herschel, right side to the 29-yard line. Close to a first down, depending on the mark. I think he got it. Gann and Tuggle made the stop.
Again on the tackle.
Many viewers may be wondering how come Herschel isn't running the ball anymore. Well, he's had a dislocated toe that's caused him a lot of problems over the last day or two, and as a result, he didn't start the game. DJ Dozier did, that running back position, and Herschel's now coming in and trying to run on a damaged foot.
They bring out the chains, but you know Herschel has struggled. Look at him game by game as he's gotten here at Minnesota. His first one, of course, 148 yards, got everybody's attention. But if you look at that right-hand column, Dan, every game it has declined.
I think one of the other problems has been the focus probably of the Vikings has been to get away from focusing in on one guy. Jerry Burns said it to us the other day. He said, we got a lot of tools here that we can use, and Herschel's not just, the main guy. We got Anthony Carter, we got Jordan, we got Hassan Jones, and we got good quarterbacks in Wilson. And so now, when you think about the numbers dropping off, yeah, you'd like to see them better, but the key thing is if you can continue to win football games using all your people, then you're probably in better shape going into the playoffs. The other problem is the offensive line for the Vikings. It's a tough time adjusting to that high back situation.
And yet Herschel seems very comfortable. When we talked to him, he said he likes it here, and he fits very well into the scheme. And he has the first down.
Those are the kinds of plays that the Vikings traditionally have run. Dives, inside traps, stuff that normally gets you about 4 or 5 yards. But when you get back with a Herschel Walker, you're going to start stretching the defense a little bit more. But a guy like Rick Penny just wants to get over the top, get the first down. Nothing fancy, real blue-collar type of a fullback. Get over there, slam yourself down on the turf. Now he's about 6 feet tall instead of 6'1", but he's having fun.
First down at the 32. Quick slanted pattern. Anthony Carter at the 40. Working on Bobby Butler.
We said in the first half that the Vikings love to catch AC on that quick slant. Just pop the ball in there to him and let him run in that secondary. Well, the first time he caught one of those slant patterns against Bobby Butler, he was headed to the end zone, and everybody, I'm sure, that was watching the game thought he had scored. And here comes Deion Sanders to track him down from the other side. So you have to believe that that time he came out with an eye peeled towards Deion.
Third catch of the day for Anthony Carter. Second down and 2 at the 40. And this play's whistled dead before it begins.
Buffalo coming back against the Saints.
Washington's come back against San Diego.
No foul. We're picking up the flag. It'll be second down.
Oh, Red just wanted to get a little airtime. That's the second time today they've dropped the flag for no apparent reason. I think it's an exercise that the officials go through. Everybody's got to throw a flag once or twice during the game.
Hassan Jones comes back in for the Vikings. Leo Lewis comes out. Novoselsky comes in at tight end, bringing in a flood. And Herschel will come out. Second down and 1.
This is a nice opportunity for the Vikings to really stretch the defense a little bit and go up top. You got an automatic first down here with less than a yard to go in second down. So now you want to go downfield a little bit.
Benny has the first down and then some to the 47-yard line.
Have some fun, guys. Throw the ball deep.
Bruce on the tackle. That's a Viking first down.
Here's Bob Snelka, the offensive coordinator, standing behind Gannon, number 16 over there. Bob's been, he's taking a little heat this year for his conservative calling of plays, but when you look at what he's been able to do with some of the tools that he's got, you would think that the Vikings would put more points on the board than they do.
Not only that, but they're 28th in running, stopping the run. On up top, Andre Bruce with the interception at the 25. Well, that's why they don't throw more often. Andre Bruce, the 6'5", 245-pounder, the second-year player out of Auburn, makes the interception. 9:05 remaining third period. It's 2017 Minnesota, but Atlanta has the football.
The Black and Andre Bruce just came up with a key interception for Atlanta, but there's a little bit of a question as to whether or not Andre caught the ball. Now, we'll show you exactly why. Watch him now. He gets in front of Herschel Walker downfield. Now, he makes a nice reception here, but as he's going to the ground, watch the ball as we freeze it right there. You see the ball has already come out right there, and now Andre is fortunate enough to get away with it.
Nonetheless, it's first down Atlanta. The ball at the 28. They trail by 3. 9:05 remaining first period. And this is Keith Jones with a big hole and a first down. Gain of 12. Tackle made by Carl Lee. Midway through the third period at the Metrodome, Tim Brant on with Dan Jiggetts. Keith Jones goes out. Gene Lang comes in as a running back for Atlanta. Last time Atlanta had the ball, they went 65 yards in 4 plays.
See Miller checking off. Getting into his audibles now.
Backside pressure, ball's loose. Picked up by Millard. Touchdown, Vikings. Sack came from Dolman. Millard got the fumble and scored. Carlos for the extra point. And the Metrodome has erupted.
Number 56 right down here at the bottom of your screen. Hard outside rush, hits the quarterback Miller. Miller never sees him, it's his blind side. Dolman gets the sack. He now moves up from the league in terms of sacks. And now you're going to see Millard pick the ball up here. You see Ken trying to catch it. He gave up the sack, now he's going to try to get the football. But I tell you what, Millard looks really good going to the end zone. And, you know, I thought he had a hurt shoulder, but when he got up, he had a real nice spike as well. So that shoulder must be okay.
He got the perfect bounce.
He looked like a shortstop picking that one up.
And the Vikings extend the lead to 10.
As you look at the sack leaders in the National Football League, there are Millard and Dolman right up there at the top, along with Tim Harris of Green Bay.
Now Millard is still going to fight for that half a sack that he got with Dolman earlier.
Sure. He's going to negotiate that one, I'm sure, after the ball game.
But right now, it's in the books. 8 minutes, 6 seconds remain, third period. Carlos gets a high, short kick. And it's taken by Patera, who fights his way to the 25-yard line, and that's where the Falcons offense will take over again.
Well, you know what the Vikings are really saying when they kick that ball short like that is that they feel that their defense is so strong that they can give you the ball, and really what turns out to be pretty good field position. Every time they kick off, they feel their defense can stop you. They're that good. That's how much confidence they have in that defense. Otherwise, they'd be kicking the ball off deep to Dion and trying to stop him up short.
Well, it's the NFL's best defensive unit, ranked number 1. Down. Tried to hold it and pull it back and couldn't. You know, that fumble was his 12th of the year.
Tried to short on that pass and just went right to the AstroTurf. Closest guy to it was Bob Wagner, the umpire. Bob got out of the way. He says, I don't want any part of it.
It'll be second down and 10.
Here's DJ Dozier. Like they were working on that knee once again, and the Vikings said they are not sure if he can return, but he had operations on those knees in previous seasons.
He's taking the tape off. Slide down if he will. Ball's loose, incomplete.
Dober's trying to take care of his guy, Millard. He wants him to score again. He tips the ball up, and Millard didn't see it. Chris is going, hey, man, you're going to have a second touchdown here. What are you doing, Keith? It's the ultimate setup. What a rush by Chris Dober. They just stuck his arm up there and slapped the ball down. He's a heck of a basketball player. You saw it in that situation where he has that hand-eye coordination. We said before, Floyd Peters, defensive coordinator of the Vikings, said he is the best athlete he's ever coached on defense.
They need 10. Lang out to the 34-yard line will be short of the first down. There is a flag. Tackle made by Mike Merriweather.
Houston Hoover, I believe it is, down there is trying to negotiate with the officials to get him to change that decision.
Holding, number 69 on the offense, still third down.
First penalty against Atlanta this afternoon.
Houston Hoover, offensive tackle for the Atlanta Falcons, has been doing a pretty good job over there. Now Noga keeping him pretty quiet. Now look on the left of your screen, you see Houston Hoover, number 69, the offensive right tackle. He's working against 99 Noga. Now Noga does a little bull rush in there. Houston Hoover takes him down to the ground. Now you're going to get that holding call on that play. But that's not really a holding call. What happens is that defensive lineman puts his head down and starts heading to the ground. What you have to do as a tackle is bump him and then pull your hands back. If you lay your hands on him, you're going to get the penalty.
Third down and 20. Miller goes deep and overthrows Dixon. Atlanta will have to punt.
Tell you what, Houston Hoover that time loaded up on Al Noga and just pasted him. Noga tried to jump up in the air and he just slammed him to the turf. Watch him up at the top of your screen. Watch number 69 working against 99 now. Brant is going. You saw that shot right there. It just popped him right back down to the ground.
And the big guy was coming again. Dolman from the backside. Full Hag standing at the goal line. And he gets off a beauty. This is Lewis. Into Atlanta territory at the 47-yard line, and so the Vikings will have great field position. 47-yard punt, 10-yard return, and the tackle was made by Heller. Coming up next, immediately following this game, stay tuned for the big battle in the West. The Giants and the Denver Broncos. First meeting since they played in the Super Bowl. That's immediately following this game.
Be interesting to see whether or not Lawrence Taylor is available at all. Of course, him with a broken bone in his ankle and a bad knee. He's really the drive guy in defense for the Giants.
Best starting field position of the day for the Vikings. First down. This is Herschel for 2.
Well, you know, sometimes you try to look graceful out there in the field, especially when you're a big lineman. You get a chance to pull out and all of that. That time, Todd Kalis, the backside guard, was pulling out. Somebody tripped him, and he went straight on his face. Those are the kind you hate to see when you get back in the film session on Monday, because you know all your guys are going to laugh at you.
Second down and 9 at the 47 for the Vikings. Backside pressure by Bruce. Wilson gets out of there and carries it out to the 42-yard line. It won't be enough for the first. Marcus Cotton made the tackle, but the pressure came from Bruce.
Now, one of the things Andre Bruce is going to learn about rushing the passer in the National Football League, he's up at the top of your screen, number 93 for the Falcons. One of the things he's going to learn is when he gets in that position to work against a guy like Zimmerman, who's a big, strong, all-pro tackle, right there, that's the position now where he wants to head in towards the quarterback because he wants to shut down that quarterback from coming back outside like Wilson was able to do there, drift outside and then head upfield. He'll learn to get another secondary move after he's made his major move.
Third down and 4 for Minnesota. The inside give to Benny, big hole. Breaks a tackle Benny. A gain of 25, finally taken down by Charles Demery and Tim Green.
Oh, but credit his offensive guard, Randall McDaniel, number 64 there. Watch him pulling. He gets a great block on Andre Bruce coming in. You see, Andre knows he's going to get trapped. He comes in, lowers that shoulder. What a block there, though, by McDaniel. Now, Finney, tough runner out there when he gets in that second, runs over Demery. Now, who else is going to run? Oh, Green. Okay, I'll take you about 3 or 4 yards, too. Then I have some fun down there later on with Robert Moore. But that was the guy that sprung him.
At the 16. Herschel. Inside the 10 to the 7-yard line. Gordon with the tackle.
Nice little play here. Wade Wilson fake pumps down in, turns back around. Little stature there. You see Herschel rolling back around, hands it back off to Herschel. Good blocking up front. Key guy there is Irwin on his block, maintains it and allows Herschel to tuck around that corner.
Falcons need a big play here. Second down and 2. Walker. He'll be close.
Walker, the ball carrier. Casillas on the tackle.
And he'll bring on the chains.
You look at Jim Hanifan, you look at that face, that says National Football League on it. I mean, that's got to be the official face of the National Football League. This guy's seen all the wars and one of the better coaches in the National Football League. And I think when you look at guys like him, they're so consistent at coaching those offensive lines, and he's a guy you absolutely want to have on your staff.
First down, Minnesota.
Now, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, Tim, what do you start thinking about doing offensively? I think you want to send out your wide receivers, start running some pick plays down there in that end zone and see if you can spring somebody open, especially on first down. Let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can go to one of our wideouts.
Falcons need to put their finger in the dike. They haven't been able to stop the Vikings on this drive. Benny, left side for a tough 1 yard.
Well, that was exciting, wasn't it?
Tackle made by Mike Gann. It'll be second and goal from the 4.
Rick Finney, 83 yards rushing on the day. That's his best ever in the National Football League. You figure a guy's been around a while, he might have more than that in one ball game. Finney's one of those tough guys, as we told you before. Thinks that a 3-yard run is great running. It's usually a tough yardage situation.
Benny, this time he loses a couple of yards. Great penetration by Mike Gann.
Mike Gann on the tackle.
Mike Gann was one of those guys that said, we have nothing to lose in this game. Now watch 76. Gann, you can see him spring out from inside, run a little twist up there in the front of that defensive line for the Falcons. And Gann comes in and makes a nice stop on Finney. He referred back to Jim Hanifan's speech last week and said that was a real key and motivating factor for him and the rest of that defense. Hanifan really got him pumped up, got the fire stoked up, and they played well against San Francisco. They haven't played too badly today either.
Third and goal. Lewis and Carter to the bottom of the screen. Pressure comes to the backside from Wilson. And Marcus Cotton takes him down.
Yeah, real exciting offense by the Vikings. You have 2 plunges and now you try to throw a third down. That's the thing I think that the Vikings have to do to make an adjustment, become a better football team, is be creative down here. Now the pressure, Marcus Cotton, you see right in the middle of your screen, 51, rushing against Tim Irwin, comes all the way around that backside and chases down Wade Wilson. Of course, everybody that's watching the ball game knew that the Vikings had to pass in that situation.
So Carlos comes on after the third sack on Wilson. And it'll be a 26-yard attempt for Carlos. The holder is Bucky Scribner. The center is Chris Foote. The field goal is good from 26 yards. And the Vikings extend their lead 30-17. Minutes, 16 seconds remain in the third period. And and it's 30-17 Minnesota. Look at Wade Wilson. And again, the play calling was rather conservative. Great field position, and they couldn't put it in.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the Vikings want to be one of the best teams in the National Football League. In those kinds of situations, I think they're going to have to get much more creative, because when you face the tough teams in the playoffs, you can't expect to run the ball twice down and then kick a field goal.
Keith Jones takes the kick by Carlos. He has absolutely nowhere to go. He returns it to the 17-yard line, but he didn't know whether to go right, left, or straight up the middle. Next Sunday on CBS, the NFL action begins with the NFL Today at 12:30 Eastern Time. You'll see the Packers travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. The Vikings tackle the Browns, or the Redskins battle the Falcons. That's next Sunday, right here on CBS. Dan and I will be there for that game, Washington against Atlanta. First down at the 17. Settle gets about 3. Atlanta 0-7 on the road this year, and the Falcons are trying to avoid their first winless road record since 1967. Tackle was made by Mike Merriweather.
Time the Vikings defense came up in what looked like a bare 46, you know, when you line that safety up outside along with the linebacker, and really when you look at what the Falcons did, they ran right into the teeth of that defense. And as a result, they only gained about 2 yards.
Haynes and Collins come to the bottom of the screen. It's second down and 8. The ball at the 19. Again, there's backside pressure. Again, the ball's loose. Touchdown, Vikings. Chris Dolman with the backside pressure, and Newton got the touchdown.
Chris Dolman again working against Mike Kent, 78. Dolman's been putting pressure on Miller all day long. This time he gets him in the back again. It almost looks like Miller tried to bounce the ball back to Kent when he got slammed in the back. Now Newton picks the ball up and takes it on in for the touchdown. But Dolman was injured on the play. He came off the field holding his back and looked like he might have gotten a rib shot. But Tim Newton now scores on a fumble recovery, just like Keith Millard did earlier in the ball game, and all because of Chris Dolman.
Carlos adds another one.
Tim Newton called the freezer. Chris Dolman, they call him tough.
And this one's getting out of hand. 1:17 remaining third period, and it's now 37-17.
Dolman's kind of a loner in this team. You know, he's viewed at least that way, and you see him holding that back now. It looks like he might have gotten hit down in his kidney area. When he came off the field after he made that great sack, he was still holding his back, and it looked like he was in some pain.
Vikings lead the league and have a club record in sacks. The NFL record is 72 sacks, 1984 by Chicago, and that all points to Floyd Peters. What a job he's done with his defense.
Floyd Peters, as I said at the top of this game, will soon be a head coach in the National Football League. He's had some great defensive lines, defensive fronts. In San Francisco, it was the gold rush, and Detroit, it was the silver rush. And you see those sacks, they led the NFL in those years. St. Louis, it was the red rush. And now Minnesota, what do you call them, a purple rush?
Anything you want to. They're big and strong and fast. Will he be a head coach?
I think somebody's got to look at it. They're looking for coaches that understand how to dominate one side of the ball and really control the defense, and he's the guy.
Carlos has a high kick, and it goes out of bounds at the 20-yard line.
And the Vikings are wondering if the ball indeed went out of bounds. I thought that Carlos got a little body English on the thing and bounced it back.
It was close, but it hit on the line. And so they throw the flag.
I thought they outlawed square grooves. Isn't that what you use, those square groove clubs to get it to bounce back?
58,116. 58,000.
You know, Dolman's been responsible for all 3 Minnesota sacks that led to touchdowns.
Chris Dolman is clearly one of the best defensive linemen in the National Football League. And I think when you look at his attitude, he said there's no question about it. He's going to try the free agency market now. He says because he hasn't gotten paid like he thinks he should up here in Minnesota, so free agency for him is a given. He's going to test the market. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people interested.
Well, the Falcons have to scramble now. This is Gene Lang off the right side, and that's not the kind of plays that are going to get them on the scoreboard quickly.
No, but it's the kind that keeps your quarterback in the game. Every time they drop back to pass now, it seems like Chris Dolman is on Chris Miller like a cheap suit.
Lang, 5'10", 210-pounder. Goes out of the ball game, and Keith Jones comes back in for the Falcons. It'll be second down, and call it 6. You see the time remaining in the third period. Play action. Miller goes up top and overthrows Collins. You think he wasn't thinking about what was coming from behind?
Oh, yeah. Well, that time they had Jamie Dukes coming out and helping out Mike Cannon. When you get a great rushing defensive end like a Dolman, you want to get some help from inside if there's not a double-up situation inside. Now, watch Dukes, the center, come out and help out Mike Ken when Ken gets back with Dolman. Ken's in pretty good shape here, gets the arms extended and gets Dolman away from his body. Now, here comes Dukes to get that last shot on him right there.
The defense has given up fewer points than any team in the NFC, averaging under 17 points a game, and that's exactly where Atlanta is right now. It's 37-17. Third down and 6. Dixon's in a whole lot of trouble. And again, it's Chris Dolman.
He's having an outstanding day. Just read it perfectly. Came up inside, slid inside. Now, here's a guy that says that he keeps files on all the people he plays against. That's what he carries in that briefcase that we talked about. Now, he keeps a file on these reverses as well, obviously, because he chases this one down and just keeps after it until he gets the receiver trying to run the reverse.
So that's the end of the third quarter from the Metrodome with the score, Minnesota 37, Atlanta 17. We now pause for a word from your local station.
By Miller Highlight. By that man a Miller, the best comes shining through. AC Delco, automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. And by today's Chevrolet, who invite you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
We start the final 15 minutes at the Metrodome. Tim Brant along with Dan Jiggetts. And Atlanta's punting the ball away. It's Scott Fulhay. Fulhay gets off a high punt. Leo Lewis will take it at the 44. Breaks one tackle inside the 40, inside the 30 to the 25-yard line. Leo Lewis finally tackled by Michael Reed. A 32-yard return.
He's like trying to catch a gnat in a snowstorm. Watch him here now as he makes the punt reception. You guys see a couple people have some shots at him, but he is extremely elusive as a kick return, and now he gets upfield. He's going to get caught from behind by Michael Reed now. You think the Vikings aren't going to talk bad about him on Monday? Just that linebacker catching you, wide receiver.
You know, Atlanta scored on the first drive of the second half to cut the lead to 20-17. After that, it was a fumble, Minnesota touchdown, a punt, fumble, Minnesota touchdown, and a punt. Wilson. And Wilson is sacked.
When you really analyze the second half of this game, it's been the Chris Dolman offense for the Vikings. And when you look at the Atlanta side of it, it's really been their defense that's been trying to stay in there and do a halfway decent job, and they do it on this play. As Tony Casillas gets in there, puts some pressure on along with Green. Casillas right in the middle of your screen, he's playing nose tackle. And Green gives a little slip there to the tight end, Brent Novoselsky, and comes around and gets the sack along with Casillas.
Loss of 10, it'll be second down and 20. That's the fourth sack on Wilson this afternoon. Wilson drills this one across the middle, and it's complete to Jordan. Inside the 10 to the 8-yard line.
Let me see him right there for Jordan, tight end. Catch him in zone, run the seams, let your tight end slip up in there and watch the linebackers as they get back in their drops. Now you see them dropping back, heading to their zones, but hey, the tight end has already beat you now. Little play action in there really freezes those linebackers up inside.
Jordan's third catch of the afternoon, 25-yard gain. It'll be first down and goal at the 9 Vikings. Wilson with time has the completion to Jesse Clark. Clark is ridden down at the 7. Tackle made by John Rady.
Jesse Clark, much travel, was in Phoenix earlier, said he had to feel like he landed in paradise coming up here and getting on a playoff team, getting out of that Phoenix situation, which was going from bad to worse. The firing of Gene Stallings, all that's going on as a result of that.
A public relations nightmare in Phoenix. Second down and goal from the 7. Wilson throws, and the whistle blows it dead. Incomplete.
False start, the right guard, 5 yards, still second down.
When Minnesota's gotten down deep today, they've really struggled.
Well, you know, they've hurt themselves all day long with penalties, and that's one thing that as you look at the tail end of the season, going into the tail end of the season, you don't want to be making those kinds of mistakes, because if you get in a playoff scenario, you have to play error-free football.
Talked about Jim Hanifan's face.
Yeah, Jerry Burns, he's another one of those NFL official faces. A lot of lines and grooves in there. So a whole lot of offense and defense. It's the other side of the coin.
Take your pick. 6th penalty for the Vikings. Second and goal from the 12. Wilson steps up in the pocket, drills it, incomplete. It was intended for Jordan, but there was good coverage on the play by John Rady.
Yeah, he didn't complete the pass, but I like what they're trying to do. At least they're trying to throw the ball in there and be aggressive offensively. I think they have to find out some things about themselves and who can they rely on when they get down in there in that tough territory and want to get the ball into the end zone. Wade Wilson's got to get back in the groove, get his timing back. Making a serious attempt at doing it today.
Minnesota wants a timeout. 12:22 remaining in the ball game. It's Minnesota big.
This NFL game summary is sponsored by Levi's 506 jeans. Cut a little fuller in the thigh for extra comfort.
Total yards 412 by the Vikings. 17 points came off 3 turnovers. And Dolman having a big afternoon. Tim Brant along with Dan Jiggetts. The situation is this: 12:22 remaining, and it's 37-17 Vikings.
Credit Chris Dolman with the Vikings offense for the second half. He's got 2 sacks that have caused Chris Miller to fumble the football and been picked up by his fellow defensive lineman and run in for touchdown.
He'll have his head on a swivel the rest of the year, looking for big Dolman coming from behind.
I tell you what, we talked about Chris Dolman keeping files on all the players he's played against. Well, you have to call them the Dolman files, and it'd be interesting to take a look at those files at some point or another and find out what his report on Mike Ken was, because obviously he's figured out the riddle.
Saw a lot of the points have come from the defense. It's 3rd down and goal from the 12, and Minnesota has had trouble in the 4th period all year. Backside pressure, and Marcus Cotton got to Wade Wilson, and the ball was incomplete.
Well, see, one of the things that the Falcons have done is they've cut Marcus Cotton and Andre Bruce loose to let him rush the passer. Now, it's sick him and go get him. These 2 guys know how to come to the passer from outside. Watch Cotton right there, outside, working against Gary Zimmerman, an all-pro. He gets around and prevents Wade Wilson from throwing that football downfield. Good rush outside by Cotton.
Wilson started to chase it. He wasn't certain it was an incompleted pass. Carlos has 10 straight field goals. He's 3 for 3 today. This will be a 29-yarder. Well, the streak's still alive. That's 11 in a row. And Carlos hits from 29 out to extend the Minnesota lead to 40-17. Turn out the lights.
Yeah, this one, you can stick a fork in them. They're done.
The Metrodome. It's delightful.
Falcons have been trying to regroup today and kind of get themselves back in the groove. They certainly were last week against the San Francisco 49ers, but today the Vikings really got out at the half and kind of took it to them. And really, if you look at the focal point of all of it, it was the play of their defense, of the Vikings defense, that really caused the Falcons to get blown out of this game in the second half.
Tim Brant and Dan Jiggetts with you, and this first half had everything. Onside kicks, halfback option passes. It had virtually everything.
Magical catches. AC getting caught from behind by Deion Sanders. All kinds of things happened.
Then Atlanta scored first in the second half. It was 2017 Minnesota. But since then, the defense took over. Chris Dolman has put on a show, a clinic, 2 fumbles knocked loose from Miller, picked up and scored. Newton got 1, Millard got 1, and it's 40-17 Vikings. Again, Carlos kicks high and away from Deion Sanders. This is Keith Jones. Breaks a couple of tackles and stretches across the 30 to the 32-yard line. The tackle was made by Brad Edwards. Well, we got 12:04 remaining in this ball game and 2 weeks remaining in the season after this one. Vikings will take the rest of the year off, regroup, try to find a coach. They broke ground in November on a new stadium, and they're building that. It should be ready in 2 years as Hugh Millen comes into the ball game replacing Chris Miller. He's a 2-year veteran out of Washington. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions for the year. And it's intercepted. Correction, that is Chris Miller.
What happened was Millard came in and made a nice rush and forced Chris Miller to unload the football. And Mike Merriweather has an interception. He's one of those big money guys that we talked about at the top of the show. He's one of those guys that has to make the plays, and he has this interception right in his hands. Look at Millard and Dolman coming around it. You think that isn't scary? Oh, boy, Chris Miller got a body slam there. And now Merriweather, 57, comes up, and this ball is really, it hits off the head of Clark. Now it bounces up. Merriweather has it. It just simply drops it.
It'll bring up 2nd down and 10. The ball at the 32. Miller again has pressure, fires this one to settle, incomplete.
I'm sure right about now Chris Miller is wishing that he had the option to go back into that shotgun formation, so at least he could look at those guys when they're rushing it from that backside.
The pressure came from Millard.
Miller told us they don't have the shotgun formation in this week, and as a result, he's got to go under center. With the noise that these fans can make in this dome, they figured that the shotgun wasn't going to be effective. They use it now.
Miller has missed his last 6 passes. Settle, left side to the 40-yard line. Keith Millard makes the stop.
John Settle, the ball carrier.
We talked to Keith Millard yesterday in practice. We thought that he was in real tough shape because he got in treatment. He was kind of like an old injured bear, you know, when you see when they got a paw that's hurt or something, just rumbling and growling, and all of a sudden he comes out today and he is on fire along with Chris Dolman.
Full Haig will be punting to Leo Lewis. And Lewis won't have a chance to return this one. A 27-yard punt. We've got 11 minutes and 2 seconds remaining in the ball game. It's 40-17 Vikings. This is the way it looks in the NFC East. Philadelphia on top, tied with the Giants at 9-4. Washington at 7-6. Philadelphia has beaten the Giants both times this year that they've met.
Right now they're beating the Dallas Cowboys 20-10 in Philadelphia. Of course, they have beaten Dallas previously in the Bounty Bowl 1.
20-10. Philadelphia. On first down, the Vikings go straight ahead. Fenny has nowhere to run. Tackle made by Jesse Tuggle.
Now's the time for the Vikings maybe to go to their conservative offense and run the ball a little bit. Now you got a huge, almost insurmountable lead, barring some kind of magic from the Atlanta Falcons. Just run the clock out, keep things going, and look forward to next week.
This is the type of team that you can run the clock out against. 28th in stopping the run. Second down and 10, Vikes. Clark with a big hole out across the 45 to the 46-yard line before Tim Gordon and Marcus Cotton can take him to the turf.
See, that's what those Vikings do so well along that offensive line, the quick hitters. Jesse Clark is used to running. As I watch this offensive line, they used to getting out, popping on their blocks, and staying with them for about 2 or 3 seconds right there. You see they clear out that hole on the trap play, and Jesse Clark hits it perfectly right up the middle.
A gain of 13. It's first down, Minnesota.
Jesse Clark wants to get his jersey dirty, get his uniform a little dirty, even if it's just AstroTurf dust. Well, let everybody know you've been busy today.
9:40 remaining in the ball game. Great penetration that time by the Atlanta Falcons.
But you saw how Clark finished off that run. He finished it off by rolling down on that AstroTurf. So you got to get that green stuff on you a little bit. That's when you go back after the game and you hand your uniform in. They don't put it right back in your locker for the next week.
Tackled that time by the rookie, Tony Bowick. 167 yards rushing for the Vikings. Only 14 by Walker. Herschel's banged up a little bit with that dislocated toe. Big day for DJ Dozier and Finney. Second down and 9. This is Finney. To the 44-yard line. And they appreciate him here.
That's that hard work ethic. You see a guy going in there, he plunges in there, looks like he's going to get stopped for maybe about 2 or 3, and he probably breaks for the longest gain of his career when he goes for 10. That's Rick Finney, though. Tough running up inside, get some good blocking up front there by, you see Clark out front, Jesse Clark, and that's just extra effort. That's desire, the ability, that desire to get out there and get a couple of extra yards.
That's poor tackling is what that is. 7 yards.
Where we get tested.
Arm tackle. Third down and 1. And Jesse Clark has the first down.
That was a shoulder.
Stop made by Gann and Bruce. Big day for Finney. 88 yards, 17 carries.
This man is trying to make sure that he establishes himself in that backfield for the Vikings. He recognizes that this is going to be a key opportunity for him with Herschel Walker having a dislocated toe and, of course, DJ Dozier out with a knee. Jesse Clark arrives right on time. Herschel over on the sideline, a place he's not totally familiar with. Probably doesn't know where to stand over there.
What did he start yesterday? They had a press conference. He's got his own clothesline now. Herschel Walker clothing.
The legend continues.
First down and 10, the ball at the 44. Clark loses a yard. Tackle made by Tony Bowick. Let's take you back to our New York studios. Brent Musburger. Brent?
Well, Tim, Vinny Testaverde and the Buccaneers have closed in on the Oilers. Primary receiver covered. Then he steps away with the pressure, and he's got Ron Hall for the touchdown, 24 yards, and the Bucs are down by 3. Back to Tim.
All right, Brent, 7:15 remaining in the ball game here. 40-17 Minnesota. Tim Brant along with Dan Jiggetts. Second down and 11 at the 45. Clark has a hole this time and breaks it out across
some poor tackling up in the middle of that defensive front for the Falcons. Watch Clark just break it right up to the middle of the offensive line. Now, he's getting some good blocking by his guys up front. You see him clear it out. Falcons tried to run a little stun up in there, but that offensive line stayed with the blocks, took him right out of the picture.
First down at the 33. And Minnesota's effectively melting that clock. Down to 6:20. Clark again. To the 30.
This is called a mercy drive. See, when you get in, you're blowing somebody out late in the game, and you don't want to make it look real bad. You run the ball and drain the clock, have a little mercy on the other guys.
Thought you were going to tell me you sit back in admiration of the guy who's running so well and just say, mercy. Second down and 7 at the 30.
Second and 7 for the Vikings and the Falcons.
Can't tell which one's winning.
That's right. Who's ahead?
Second down and 7. This is Clark. Cuts inside, has another first down inside the 20.
For so many years, Jerry Burns was an offensive coordinator, and I think he has a special feeling for the running game because for so many years Minnesota did that successfully. As a matter of fact, when you look at what Burns has done, he's coached at a lot of different places and been to a lot of different, made a lot of different stops along the way. Started out at the University of Hawaii, believe it or not. It's not bad. And starting in Hawaii and ended up in Minnesota.
You saw the numbers on Jesse Clark, and this has to be fun for him. The Vikings now over 200 yards rushing. Here he is again. Inside the 10 to the 5-yard line. Deion Sanders finally made the tackle. But this drive has been Jesse Clark, and Jesse Clark.
Jesse Clark looks like new money. He pulls around the corner here. He never saw holes like this when he's playing with the Cardinals now. Look at him. Gets out around that corner. Now watch him try to punish a couple of defensive backs.
First and goal at the 5.
You have to ask yourself, Jesse Clark just came to the Vikings. How come Herschel Walker doesn't have that same kind of success running the football?
Well, he did his first game. Since then, it's gone down.
Good point.
Clark inside the 5 to the 4.
Jesse Clark, the ball carrier.
Marcus Cotton made the stop.
Marcus Cotton on the tackle. Wade Wilson is the Travelers NFL Man of the Year nominee for the Minnesota Vikings. A $1,000 contribution in Wade's name is being made by
Mike Gann slow getting up.
American Diving Association.
It's a little bit of a, fortitude check for the Falcons. You get down in tough situations like this. You want to find out who the real soldiers are, who's going to stay with you, who's going to stay out there and, and give it the very last shot. So it's a character thing, too, for the Falcons.
Well, they have to know, too. Jim Hanifan told him he wasn't coming back. Staff would be gone. New coaches are coming in. They'll use these films to evaluate the talent. Clark inside to the 2-yard line.
John Rady wants to be around. He made the stop on that play.
And he did it rather emphatically.
Rady, one of those inside linebackers for the Falcons. Watch him, number 59, right at the bottom of your screen, come up and make the stop on Jesse Clark. No blocking in there to speak of on him, and he just meets him at the pass. And you see that head buckle back. That's when you know that was a hard hit at the line of scrimmage.
So it'll be third down and goal at the 2. And the clock is now at 2:35. Wilson throws incomplete. It was thrown at Darrell Ingram, but it bounced incomplete. And so Rich Carlos comes on.
The crowd's booing here at the Metrodome because they wanted to see the Vikings score a touchdown and really post some great numbers for this game, but it's the Vikings head coach and offensive coordinator saying, look, let's just go and kick the field goal and make it 43.
Carlos is hit from 21, 39, 26, and 29, and this will be from 19. So he's got 5 field goals on the day. Rich Carlos, 43-17. 5 field goals by Rich Carlos. He now has 23 straight points, and it's 43-17. So we'd be remiss if we didn't say that Carlos hasn't been sensational today. As a matter of fact, he had 7 field goals in a game against the Rams earlier this year.
See Minnesota's numbers inside the 20, 2 TDs and 5 field goals. As I was saying before, when you go into the playoff hunt, you want to have that reverse. You want to have 5 touchdowns and maybe 2 field goals.
Carlos again kicks it short. Sanders will have a chance to return this one. So Dion goes out of bounds, stops the clock at 2:14.
It's a 99-yard horizontal return.
And it nets 9 total. Next Saturday, CBS Sports action begins with the NFL football as the Cowboys visit the Giants at the Meadowlands. It all begins with NFL Today at a special time, 12 noon Eastern. Then the road to the Final Four begins as the season premiere of NCAA basketball gets underway on CBS. The Paul Blue Demons travel to Chapel Hill to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels live at 3:45 Eastern time. And that's all next Saturday right here on CBS. Hugh Millen now the quarterback. Straight ahead they go to Keith Jones. Jones gets a couple. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Two minutes remaining. 43-17 Minnesota. Long, long day for the Falcons. Tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes goes past the barbed wire and the guard dogs to visit a place none of us ever imagined we'd see. A Russian labor camp for political prisoners. 60 Minutes tonight on CBS. Then it's Murder, She Wrote, starring Angela Lansbury. That's followed by the CBS Sunday movie, Money, Power, Murder, starring Kevin Dobson. That's all tonight here on CBS. Incomplete. Stops the clock at 1:56. It was intended for Brant Beckman.
Kansas City still leading Green Bay, 21-3. Detroit over Chicago.
You know, Dan, Miller just wasn't the same after the 2 sacks today. He missed his last 6 passes, finished 11 for 23, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception.
I'll tell you what, you sit back there and let Chris Doleman hit you in the back a couple of times. It'll change your perspective.
3rd down and 7, flags fly. And Millen tastes the vengeance of the defense. Keith Millard got the lick.
Vikings offside.
I think Red Cashin's even tired of talking. Here he goes.
Offside. Defense, still 3rd down.
Hey. Red Cashin said it was somebody, I think it might have been Keith Millard, but you see he jumps off, he gets a little bit of a quick start there, and he just kind of finish it off by hitting the quarterback, Hugh Millen. He says, hey, if I get back there, I'm going to hit you. He thought he was a mirage. He said, wait a minute, I wasn't offsides. No, that was just quick off the ball.
3rd down and 2 at the 30. I think that injury's made him meaner. Millen throws, has the completion to Jones. Jones to the 43-yard line.
Millen's pass.
I tell you one thing, though, it's interesting to watch a guy like a Millard, you know, late in the game like this when, you know, really the whole situation is well at hand. And you see him going just as hard at the end of the ball game as he did on the first play of the game. That's a true professional.
That's the first down for Atlanta since the early in the 3rd period.
Look at those eyes on Keith Millard. This guy is serious about what he's doing out there. If you're going to go out there to block him, you better bring a lunch bucket and get ready for a whole day's work because he's going to make you go after him.
That's some combination on that right side with Millard and Dolman. Look at this. He just come in droves. This time it's Noga.
I think that might be 10.5 sacks on the year for him.
Will they be able to keep this defense together?
Boy, I tell you what they're going to have to try, and one of the things that's really going to be difficult for them is to sign Chris Dolman. He told us before that he said free agency is already a consideration. He's going to try the free agent market, so Minnesota's going to have to come up with the dollars to keep him here.
5th sack for the Vikings today. They now have 63 for the year, so they get closer to that record of 72. Millen, quick set, throws underneath, and has the completion to Jones.
Millen's pass complete to Keith Jones.
You know, if you're down on that line and you're blocking against a guy like Millard, you got to be asking him at some point or another, hey, Chris, Keith, you think you can take it easy on me a little bit here? I mean, come on, calm down a little bit. I don't think he hears him though.
Coordinating producer of the NFL on CBS, Charles H. Milton III. Today's game produced by Richard Zions. Today's game directed by Mike Arnold. And the executive producer of CBS Sports is Ted Shaker. 3rd down and 11. Millen drills it to the right side and has it complete to Haynes. And that stops the clock with 5 seconds. So the summary then is that Green Bay and Chicago both losing, Minnesota winning today, and this, if it stays that way, the standings would go like this.
Minnesota at the top all alone now at 9-5. Green Bay following them at 8-6, and Chicago completely out of the playoff picture. If they indeed do lose today, it'd be 6-8.
Millen buys time, throws underneath, has the completion, and that'll do it. Patera's down to the 32. The game ends. So Jim Hanifan then goes 0-2 as the interim head coach. Atlanta Falcons now go 3-11. Minnesota moves to 9-5. So for Dan Jiggetts, I'm Tim Brant saying so long from the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. With the final score once again, Minnesota 43, Atlanta 17. Stay tuned for the second game of our doubleheader. The Giants travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. You've been watching CBS Sports coverage of